Evening, and welcome to Raconteurs News with me, Jason Holmes. It is the 16th of November as we head towards the lovely Christmas time, mistletoe and wine, children singing Christian rhyme. That's what you've got to look forward to it next couple of months. So fucking going to do everybody's head in. So hold on tight, hold on tight, hold on tight. Just sorry about last week. I missed you last week. I didn't do anything last week simply because I'm sorry, but my wife needed me like this. I think I told Webby anyway. My wife needed me. She had an incident. A horse trod on her, so and it weren't even her horse. So it trod on her, so there you go. That's why she needed me. So I just took a week off. I hope everything was okay. I hope everything's okay with you as well. Everyone in the chat room, I've seen knocking about. Donna's in there, Dinny's in there, Tony's there, Jerry's there, Taylor's over in the United States of America, and he's asking if he can come on. We'll see about that later on, because tonight, as you probably know, as you've probably seen, if you're here and you've seen whatever, what you've done to Colin. Colin's moved. He's here, actually, look. He's here. But last week I got my legs sorted out, so I got the new top for my legs, so it's not there because I've been wearing it. I've not got it on now because when you sat down, it's a bit of it sort of like pinches in top. Yeah. So that's where Colin is. He's there, and my legs disappeared. It's downstairs. It can fucking walk itself up here if it wants to come. Anyway, it's been interesting, and to talk over what's been going on, and to give us his perspective on things. And well, it's Webby. Webby's here. Good evening, Webby. The Webster Report. Oh, I should say that. From the Webster Report fame, here's Webby. Good evening, Webby. How you doing, mate?
Yes, guys. I'm getting there, mate. You know a bit about what's going on with me, but I'm not dead. I'm still here. I'll get it. I'll get it right.
You'll get it right. You fucking right. You will, because you're fucking Webby, mate. So they will get it right. They will get it. Still haven't heard from Leeds, which is again still same thing with Leeds. I've got his address now, so I can go up and go and get him. So it's been fucking crackers, hasn't it? Last couple of weeks. I mean, we don't know where Queen is. She's according to Uni anyway. She's having a dirt nap with Stalin. Fucking God knows what that is. Fucking our resident anti-Semite.
There's a lot of speculation, Jace. There really is about.
I know there is. Yeah, I know there is. There has been for quite a while, hasn't there? Though?
They've done a release that at the right time, but I mean, they've set all these things in motion now because I mean, like Ron's pointed out about the taxis in Liverpool, there's been an explosion there. There's been arrests. There's been people coming out saying that it's because there's an illegal mosque and there's this, that, and the other that's going on in Liverpool, where there's no, you can't substantiate that. This is just all information that's just been blasted and splattered about all over everywhere, all these little bits. But you've got, anonymous packages now being found and tests being done. There's all this stuff has just gone mad. But the one thing that I can't really hear people talking about, Jace, is that Austria has locked down unvaccinated people, and the people voted for that. 90% of people virtually who were vaccinated voted that the others shouldn't. Now, did they not learn anything from the 1940s, these people? Because my uncles, I felt offended that people were stood there commemorating people like my uncles who fought in both wars, Second World War, physically at Dunkirk, physically came home. But what they left there, they never ever spoke about, Jace. Yet those freedoms that they believed, which we know that those wars aren't about freedoms, them freedoms that they believed they fought for, are forgotten about because We're going to start, 3-4 months ago, Susanna Reid said, is it time to ditch your unvaccinated friends? This week, the Metro says, is it time we lock down the vaccinated in this country where my uncles came from and fought for freedoms? And our media are asking that question, baiting the people. Where are we up to? What do you think? And I'm absolutely, that's taken the wind out of my sails this week, because if people think that that's okay to go along with, then I'm out of this society, mate, because that is sick. That is Babylon.
It does make you feel like that, doesn't it? You feel like this is, you're not part of society.
No, not at all.
That's exactly what it's designed to do, though, isn't it? I mean, this this lockdown for people who are not vaccinated. I mean, where does it end? How long does it go on for? Does it go on until but it just seems to never go on. It never stopped, does it? We were told that the lockdowns were going to be done. What were it, 2 weeks to flatten the curve or whatever?
Yeah.
Back in day, and here we are, nearly 2 years later, and it's and we're knackered.
Well, I've just seen. I've downloaded the video actually, where there's a woman physician who's been, she says, I'm not anti-vax. I've been issuing the vaccines. She says, but my personal patients, I've seen these kinds of reactions in, and she's come to the conclusion. She's put it in. It's the video as sliced it. I'll send it to you, Jace. It's stating that the first vaccine had a certain amount of saline in, and then all these other ingredients. Now, I know from nurses who issued these vaccines, who I physically spoke to, friends of mine who actually had the first dose, and they said they sat there. She said, because her exact words was, vaccines is my thing. So me and my friend sat there with a bottle of wine talking about the ingredients of the first dose, and we were going, this is ridiculous. She still had it though, Jace, because she couldn't explain why. She said she wouldn't have any more because they'd all been horrendously ill. Now, if that was only like a mild dose, what she's saying, this physician, was the first dose lowers your immunity by 50%, and it kills your white blood cells, and apparently it takes your body about 8 weeks to reproduce the white blood cells to regrow them. Apparently, and that so coincides with the second dose, which was 8 weeks later. So you're talking about, after your first 2 doses, you've got a 25% immunity system that can produce white blood cells. You're open. You're absolutely open to attack. What if the boosters, which is what the seemingly is, to actually keep those white blood cells going? Maybe if you don't have the boosters, you won't survive. Because at this moment, Jace, everything is on the table with this stuff, because we can't get acceptance that there's something wrong when VIAs are reporting 40,000 deaths and 4 million side effects. And it's what the CDC's gone off every year for decades apart from this year. So that we've got real issues, because people think it's climate change, people think it's Brexit, people think it's all these other kinds of things. And while we're arguing about all them, people are dying. There's real evidence to show that the old people that were all dying, were they dying of COVID? Well, we can't prove that because it's never been isolated. Sanders can shout about it all he likes. There's more evidence, rather than the mainstream, there's more evidence of people putting everything they've got on the line to say, let's talk about this. If we're wrong, I'm more than happy to say, hey, but to say that there's no agendas and there's nothing being pushed, well, that's where I'm not plugged into that same society, Jace, because, conspiracy theories I said about 10 years ago are here, that we were talking about 5 years ago are here. So what else could there be? I've got to stay open, because everything, I've run out of the theories. Some of the stuff that's going on now, if we'd have talked about it 5 years ago, we'd have been called nutters, mate. But it's here.
Yeah, it's fucking, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. We the thing about your body is that, I mean, that's the one thing that's definitely yours. You're not, you don't even, but you don't even own that, do you? Really? I
Well,
mean, you don't take it with you when you die.
well, have you seen what Julia Hartley Brewer's been talking about on Talk Sport? She's shocked that her daughter's DNA is being sold because it's off the swabs. It states it in the terms and conditions. Has anybody read them? That she's saying I didn't consent to that. Did you say that they couldn't? Well, there you go. It's based on
Mm,
presumption. We presume we can do this. Have they said that you can't? No. Well, crack on.
yeah, yeah.
That's how simple the law that they're writing is. Now, what we're gonna see all this start to change because when you've got the U.S. Supreme Court recognizing in law that there's another person, that means that DNA from a vaccine, if that DNA gets changed by that vaccine, that DNA is no longer human. It's another person. If you are tested and you have that geneticism now, you'll fall into a category that isn't human. What does that mean legally? Because somewhere in the legislation, they've written what that means. Because if the legislation's passed, it's in there somewhere. So what does it mean? I own your DNA, Jace. That means I own you. What does that mean? Are you like me dog?
Well, pretty much, yeah. It's like slavery again, isn't it? Only this time it's well, it's not whips that are being fucking used on us. It's sticks,
It's going
small
to be
sticks.
it's going to be voluntary servitude. You're not going to be able to think. You're just going to be a drone. We've been warned about this zombie apocalypse. Well, what if it's not like flesh-eating, crawling zombies and just people who walk around in a dazed state, going being told what to do all the time? It's not a million miles away. When I sat today at a cafe and people walking into the shopping centre with no mask and putting it on as soon as they got in the shopping centre, as if it's a bit nippy outside, COVID won't go outside, I'll be okay. It's like people make all these allowances, and it just seems very irrational, and it's hard to see everything moving so quickly and people still being stuck there because you think there'd be alarm bells going. You explain it that in 1940s the Nazi regime got rid of disabled people, people with learning difficulties, and the elderly. They got rid of all them because they wanted a pure type race thing. So what have we done? We've put do not resuscitate on learning difficulties and disabled and murdered the elderly, but it's okay. Well, it's legal here. We passed it. Well, it was legal in Germany. This is the point. People still think can't happen here, Jace. Won't happen here. That
They do, don't they? They do. And it's. Do you think it's not a not a coincidence that the first place it's happened in Europe is the birthplace of Hitler?
yeah. Do you know what? It is a quite poignant. That might be a nice little tribute, but the factor is it could have been anywhere in Europe because it's all civil law. So people could say, well, Australia and New Zealand aren't. Australia was made a virtual company in 1974 and they've been groomed into civil law ever since. They never put the fight up for common law. People who've got look at Romley Stewart. He put a fight up there, and they went after him because he knows what the common law is. We've still got it. It's still a big chunk of our jurisdiction, but they're trying to whitewash that. That was why I was so get out of Europe. It was a double-edged sword because you come out of Europe, you think, well, there's no European court. Well, if there's no European court, we have no justice because our legal system is designed as a fish catching exercise and throwing it back into the system. Well, when you beat that system and you can't go any further in our system, but they can't throw you back either, then you've got to go to Europe because that's the only high court that we've got. So you want to hold on to that, but if we'd have gone into Europe, that means all their laws, all their civil laws apply here, and that would be enforced by all the drones that you've got coming through the police academies and university degrees who are going to be able to quote statutes and acts verbatim that only apply to commercial entities, agreements. But that's not going to matter because it doesn't matter now, Jace. All it is, all this stuff about you're not going to own anything and you're going to love it. We've always been like that, but we've always had the impression that we owned it. But now they've destroyed the psyche of the people that much. They've got droves of people that they can just say to them, you do that. All right, we'll do that. You do that. All right, we'll do that. So we see what's happening there in Austria. We've seen it, New Zealand, Australia. What's happened in Scotland? They're a little bit further ahead. Everything's falling to bits with the passports in Scotland, but they're still doing it. Northern Ireland are now talking about locking down the vaccinated, and they've got the passports. Wales are now pioneering it. Wales have been chosen for this country, South Wales in particular, for universal credit. Well, this is all test beds to say, well, it worked here, or it's all right here, and then it'll go to the cities. So what are we seeing now is seeing the cities under attack. Bomb in Liverpool, the people arrested in Liverpool. Everybody's going to be suspicious about everybody now. Taxi drivers in particular. You know, all this is going to be perpetuated, and it'll keep people fixated where they can't think. And that's all they need is the people who can think to try and distract them. And what the best way to distract them is to threaten them. So there's nothing new here, Jace. It's just I've never seen it, not even so much in this country. I've never seen it in this country. But to see it all happening at the same time, well, maybe a bit further down the line in some countries, but the same agenda is everywhere.
Getting back to that incident in Liverpool, what's your understanding of what happened? Because I saw it and just rolled my eyes and just switched it off. So I don't really know. I've heard there's a taxi driver. I did like the little bit about the taxi driver being a hero and locking the bomber inside because he knew he was a suicide bomber and he knew when he were going to set the thing off. Could he see the timer? And like going down, and he decided like it went on 3 seconds. He's locked all doors behind him and shut door. You know, this narrative is it's every time, isn't it?
So the sources I have spoken with, that there's a lot of different things that are coming out about it, especially in the mainstream media, because, you know, again, he's not on a watch list this time, but, you know, they knew his name quickly enough and they know everything else about him. You made a point the other day when you said, have they found his passport yet? You know, they're saying that they're going to Christian churches and converting. And they're saying that they're doing this on scale to try and get asylum. So they're now bringing the churches into this terrorist threat. We've already got domestic terrorism legislation. You can see how this terrorist legislation can now branch out into the local communities. You know, this legislation is written very vaguely, so it can apply to anything. And this is the danger that we've got now. But I've heard things from upon discovering, because I heard that it was somebody who was pretending to be pregnant. Well, this is quite clearly a man, but we don't know what that means these days. He could have been pregnant, I suppose. Yeah. So at some point, this driver bravely has locked the doors. If he's discovered that, or the doors were locked anyway, I don't know. Maybe he wasn't going to pay or whatever, and it's blown up with the driver in the car, and the driver's got out, and you know, and whatnot. But you know, it's very strange
So a bloke gets into it. This is really straight. A bloke gets into a taxi. Bloke with a bomb strapped to him, right? Gets into a taxi. If he's going to detonate the bomb inside the building,
And this driver knew that.
but I don't get why then, if he's locked it back at fucking taxi, why don't you just kick his way out? Smash a window on a taxi, easy. It's not a black cab, were it? It were it was just a regular car that were dressed up as a taxi.
That's what I mean. There's questions to be asked. I mean, some people would say, well, if he knew there was a bomb in the car, why didn't he get out before they blew it up? Some people said, why did he drive in to the women's hospital if he knew there was a bomb? Why didn't he drive to a police station?
It only took one person out with him. If it goes off at the time it goes off, I mean, what has he done? Has he pressed the button so he knows it's going to go off? The bloke.
Well, this is it. We don't
10,
know.
9, 8. So he's got out. Fucking locked him in. Got out. I just.
No, he's not locked him in and got out. The car's blown up with the driver in. The taxi blows up with the driver still in.
See, that just makes it even worse.
The car blows up, then the door opens, because as the car blows up, you see like a porter who's walking across the concourse, and he's like shot with it, and then staggers over, and he sees through the smoke the door opening, and the driver getting out, and he goes running over to help the driver at that point. So even though he's in this bomb blast in the car, the bomb blast is not enough to blow the driver to bits or kill him, because he's at least capable to get out the car and stagger. But, there's a few bits of information coming out about the driver other than his heroics of knowing that this person's going to blow themselves up, and he's locked them in the car. Maybe he's had a debate. Maybe he's trying to say, hey, come on, let's not be hasty, or let's not. Maybe, we don't know. It just doesn't. Because we've seen these stories come and go so much, Jace, sometimes I try and stop myself from being too sceptical. But even so, even when you hear things like his ex-forces, the taxi driver, you want to raise the question, but you feel like, well, am I being a bit too cynical here? Because it can't.
Let's fucking ask questions. Let's fucking irritate people. Let's make people go fucking, because don't forget this. We're Remembrance Sunday as well. So it's an attack directly at British people because it's picked that day. He's only decided he's going to kill fucking one person, a taxi driver. I just don't get it. What does he do? Right, I've got my bomb. He's going to go and die. Why don't he nick a car? Anybody's car.
Well, I heard. See, some other information I heard was that this sounds like it's a bit contradictory, because the source I heard it from was a failed suicide bombing, in the fact that it's gone off in the taxi and not in the hospital where it was meant to go off. It's gone off early. Obviously, it's killed the suicide bomber, so that's why I'm saying it's contradictory. It is a suicide bomber who's killed himself. But I heard that this was like very early on. This was like a couple of hours after it said that, the story was at the minute that he was meant to go into the hospital and do it, and it's gone off early. But now I'm hearing that the driver has noticed this, and it's gone off. It's still gone off early. Maybe that's why I don't know. Maybe that's why the driver was still in the car. It's just been left up in the air, and now we've got to wait, because who controls this scene now? It's all the police, isn't it? So if there's anything in it that's going to point out people that it shouldn't, they've got control of this scene, and then the mainstream media will tell us what they want us to know. So that's what we're waiting for now.
Yeah, it's I just I'm going to go and get a taxi, and I'm going to go and blow up. I'm going to go to an hospital, because like people in hospital, they probably thought, well, it's an easy target, isn't it? Most of the people in there are half dead anyway.
You've got a Scouse couple there who's had him round for dinner and said he was a lovely lad. We never saw this. He's a lovely lad. Yeah, he's fled from Syria. He's come here. He's converted to Christianity and then blown himself up. So there's a few questions that need answering, but as usual, we're probably not going. We're going to get the mainstream media who will aim at the primary school consciousness level. So everybody will go, "Oh, that's it. It's all sorted now. What time's Love Island on?" Just like they did with 7/7 and 9/11, mate.
It is a fucking crackers one. It is a crackers one.
But honestly, I mean, it's a bad thing. It's a horrendous thing. But the vaccine.
It's not though, is it? 'Cause there's only him in a fucking car. So
No, but
it's
what I'm
not
saying
a
is,
horrendous
what I'm
thing.
saying is, it's horrendous that people are going to start all thinking about this, and then on top of all that, a lockdown coming. Well, it's because of the unvaccinated. You can see it. You can see the narrative being formed. Been talking about it for ages, but will it happen? Well, it's down to whether the people are going to say no, or well, we think it should. I can't go on my Christmas do because you won't have your vaccine that'll make mine work, even though I can still get it and pass it on, and I'm still ill. But my PCR test says negative. Been coughing my balls off for 4 days. Honestly, there's no common sense here, mate. So we're in uncharted waters.
We are in uncharted waters, aren't we? I've just been told that Wednesday are 2-0 down. It doesn't fucking surprise me, to be honest with you. And we can concentrate on league now. You know what I mean? That old chestnut. Fucking nil. It was the most boring game I've ever fucking seen on Sunday. Were it on Sunday? On Friday, weren't it?
What, the England game?
No, wait. Oh, no. It was last week, weren't it? Last week. Again, when we played Plymouth in FA Cup.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, but drew 0-0. It were on Sunday. Fucking hell, my memory's terrible. Yeah, it were on Sunday. So it was 0-0. It was the most boring game ever. Pointless. There were no point in even going down to Plymouth tonight. We might as well have just said, we'll toss you for it. Fuck good down to Plymouth. We'll toss you for it. But we'll give you heads and tails. Because we want to just concentrate on league.
I'll tell you what, the worst game I've ever been to was a Liverpool-Ipswich game on New Year's Day, hungover to everything, right? And it was 0-0. And I'm thinking, I can't wait to get home. And I looked at my watch and it was 11 minutes past 3. I'm going, oh no, sorry, it wasn't. It was 11:41 because it was an 11:30 kickoff as well that day. So with the hangover, New Year's Day, everybody didn't want to be there but wanted to be there. And we watched a game that felt like it played for a week. 0-0.
Oh dear. Yeah, that's what fucking Wednesday game ended up. But to be honest with you, fucking 0 flattered us. I know I didn't say nil, I said 0. That's an American thing, but I'm just trying to include Taylor in this. But like you said, you made a good point. If that's a suicide bomber man, he could well have been pregnant. Because in this day and age, you can be what the fuck you want, can't you? He probably got in the car and he's seen bomb, and driver's gone to him. All right. But he's gone. Yeah, did you? Are you been busy? Yeah, and he's seen fucking bomb, and he says that's a suicide bomb in it that you've got there. Aye. Oh fucking hell! Which one? Well, I am. I am ISIS, but I identify as IRA.
Mate, it's the same things that are coming out. I mean, what you might have just offended a non-binary suicide bomber there. You might have offended everybody. This is how ridiculous it is, because has that suicide bomber not got equal rights? Should we use the right pronoun for him? Because this seems to be more important than anything that's going on. Criminality is secondary to a Twitter argument.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if have you seen the hoo-ha that's been going on with Chrissy Morris and Malton Council?
I did see some, but then he just disappeared. I did see some, and apparently, this other councillor's husband's been round to his house.
Oh no, mate! He brought up a point of law at council meeting, right? And constitutionally, when it's specific, if a councillor brings up a point of law, you've got to stop the meeting and hear it, and they wouldn't. So he's rightly so brought all this up and blah blah blah, and then a councillor started having a go at him. There's a few messages that have been posted that's made things a bit public because Chris is claiming, as he always said, I have nothing to hide with this. Then somebody's gone round to these two council women have turned up at Chrissy Morris's house, because it's not even Chrissy's house this fella's turned up at. And they've all turned up to have this, tell him to stay away and all that. Well, Chrissy's come out to have his say. At that point, the councillor's husband has pushed past the fella who owns the house, got into the house to get at Chrissy. Chrissy's obviously just invited him to a bit of a 1-2, and the fella's walked out the house with a big black eye and into the back of a police car. And it's basically started off from that. These councillors think that they can run the council, as all councils around like this. I know people who are up my end of the woods who get sounded out. They can't speak in council meetings. All this kind of stuff goes on. And it's got to stop. So he's gone, everything's pretty much out in the public. I mean, I can see Moulton Council not sending him any Christmas cards this year, mate.
Do you know, I got a friend request from him, I think, and I thought that, well, he's got an account.
No, so... Facebook banned his other account. He's been kicked off Facebook. That's a secondary account that he's opened.
Right.
But,
so, I should have accepted it then, shouldn't I? I'd have been privy to all this fucking drama. It's lovely. There's so much drama online. You don't even have to leave your house now to have a row. How good's that?
The thing is, what people used to say that Chrissy caused. Used to say that Chrissy went out and caused issues, right? All he's done is asking questions here, and they've all come and attacked him. They couldn't have made it easier for him. If he wants to get elected now, all he's going to do is go, what's going on here? Look at what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm raising a point of law here, and look, here's the Constitution, and he's ignored me. He won't stop the meeting. Oh, and look, now they've come round and bullied me. I've now been attacked. I don't know. There's only certain other things that can happen in succession, and you're privy to a bit of information, what I've told you, what's happened, and all of a sudden you've got a court case with a nice little bow tied to it. There's a lot of things that that he can make happen with this.
I know, and I've been missing it all. I can't believe I've been missing all that drama. Dear me, God blimey. Oh, Chrissy, I did see the picture of the bloke with a black eye, and I did get from it that he'd gone in there with intent of giving Chrissy a thick ear, and well, obviously come off second best.
Yeah.
But after that, he disappeared, and I did think to myself, he must have been deleted.
Yeah, they deleted him because he must have been. I don't know where the messages come from, but the WhatsApp group messages that were posted that the councillors were having a conversation about, and apparently he felt justified posting these conversations because the councillor kept bringing his name up in various places in the district or something like that. I don't know the full SP. I'm trying to piece it all together myself, but it's just very strange that all these things are going on. But you're looking at your local councils now. Sheffield's had that thing with Chubby Brown, and it's about offending people. Yet, I'm going to just hazard a guess here, but I can't believe that Sheffield City itself is like running like a dream, and it's not all prosperous and everybody's happy living there, but we're offended because Chubby Brown tells a few vagina jokes. Come on. It's time we had some real changes. You know, when we were, it was what, 5, 6 years ago, Jason, we were talking about real change. Real change. We Are Change 10 years ago. You know, I'm seeing articles that We Are Change could be sponsored by George Soros now. You know, have they been taken over from that, you know, that movement that just sprouted up from nowhere? Because we do see that most of the movements that start grassroots get taken over, and they either disband or they get that much shit thrown at them that nobody will even take them seriously anymore.
Yeah. You just fucking everything's about feelings and emotion. I mean, we've got this racism thing going on with Yorkshire now. Look, this is shit. It's utter fucking dog shit. It's all nonsense. This bloke's made these allegations. He's got no fucking, totally unfounded. He's got no fucking evidence of them at all, and he's also put the Michael Vaughan's good name. This is an England captain that won Ashes after we'd not won it for years. Michael Vaughan, it's tainting his fucking his personality. You know, he's fucking dragging him down. I mean, Michael Vaughan, does he strike you as I know he's a Wednesday fan, and so I might be a bit biased, but you know, does he strike you as somebody that would do that? Would, you know, be overtly racist? And why is it only one that's been fucking named, apart from that other one that lives in fucking Zimbabwe? So it don't really affect him.
Maybe he's got different opinions about tests, vaccines, masks. Maybe he's got different opinions why that would put him on somebody's radar to shut him up. Because I don't do cricket, me mate. You know, I just don't understand it. Don't see the interest in it at all. But it seems like there's a lot of people that, if he is racist, there'd be a lot of people that he wouldn't like to play cricket with, that would play in teams that he plays in, because it seems quite diverse a sport. So I think it would have come out, or people who know him would be telling it. You know, I know situations where people who know the person, that's absolutely ridiculous. But allegations against people who, you know, I don't know cricket, I don't know that man. I know the name, I know that they won the Ashes, but I don't know him. He could be that. Well, in a 30-second soundbite on the news, that'll do for me, mate, if I'm a non-thinker.
Yeah, of course. That'd be interesting to know that. I wonder if there is anything about him, whether he's been tweeting about it or anything like that, because that's interesting. I didn't think of that. I'll have a look at that at some point.
There's a reason why he's been targeted. If he's not been targeted for saying something like that, then possibly maybe a racist. I don't know. I don't know enough about it or him to pass an opinion on it, to be fair. But everything that's coming out in the news, if somebody on ITV, if an article or a newsreader or whatever says, this man's a white supremacist, I'm pretty much gone the opposite way straight away before I go and research it, because if you're saying that, then you're pushing something, or that's what I'm used to at the very least, Jace. You know, Ed Bernays thought he'd come up with this great thing about psychology, how he could influence people. Well, the dictators loved it, and he loved getting paid off the dictators. Well, the dictators have come and gone, but the system that those dictators built is functioning well. And it doesn't need to function any better than it is, because they've never had to, because the people are ignorant to what's going on. You know, I all these years, Jace, that we've been talking about, I've never understood why anybody could not see how vital the economy and how we're brought into it and how we're registered and all that. Nobody knows how that works, and nobody cares. You work hard, you pay your bills. That's fundamentally wrong to make our nation prosperous. So we're taught to make our nation not prosperous. But that's great. Look how hard I'm working. That's backward. That's absolutely backward. Now, everybody tells me that that's life. So that means everybody's backward because that's what we've been taught. So if I know how the system works, it's the very, very old analogy, isn't it? In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
Mm.
These people have got more than one eye on the system. And the people who are groomed, bribed, blackmailed, they're all bought off, or whatever it is that. But they get things for doing what they do. For falling asleep in Parliament, they get paid. Now,
300 quid a day.
Yeah, but
now
Boris Johnson's saying that it should be illegal for MPs to act as lobbyists for companies. It should be illegal, but it isn't illegal. Why? Because it's commerce, and somebody's written it down to say it's not illegal. So the people who are writing the laws that steal everything are making it legal. I don't know how simpler to say it to people. If I wrote down, Jason, on a Tuesday between 1 and 2 o'clock, you've got to identify as a coffee table. I'm coming round to your house to place me coffee on your back. If you're not there, I'm going to fine you 100. If you're not prepared to do that, I'm going to fine you £100. Look, it's Section 22 of the Coffee Table Act.
Mm.
Are you going to do it? Apparently in Austria they would.
Yeah, they would. I've just been looking in chat room, and there's a couple of Wednesday playing Plymouth Argyle FA Cup. And there's a couple of Plymouth Argyle fans in chat room that have found each other in chat room. So there's fucking more Argyle fans that listen to this than Wednesday fans, I think.
On the Sheffield Wednesdays fan show.
And here's me thinking, I've got a couple of extra things to gear away, and I probably won't be able to gear them away. I've got a couple of shirts. Gear away, I'm going to do something with them. And so, and there'll be nobody that wants it. There'll be nobody that wants them. Anyway.
Yeah, it's signed
somebody also mentioned it. Sorry, I just wanted to say this, Webby. Somebody also mentioned in chat room about aid. Now, I spoke to him on one of days that weren't today and weren't yesterday. Last week, I spoke to him last week, and he's doing all right. He's doing okay. He's a little bit frustrated because he's not got his driving license back yet. But he's waiting on that. It's taking a fucking age.
I have to say, I'm sorry for interjecting. I have to say, I find it quite amusing that an anarchist is waiting for his license.
Well, that's true. Yeah. He should stop asking for permission, shouldn't he?
He should, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, somebody
said that. So he's doing all right. He's just he's having trouble with his speech, just a little bit. It's like he's getting frustrated because he says that it's got a lot of information in his head.
Yeah,
and he don't know how to get it out. So it's quite frustrating because he says I see people and I hear them say things and I want to say something to them, but I can't. You know what I mean? So. A little bit frustrating, but apart from that, he's doing okay. So, everyone in the chat room. I've heard from Super Leeds. Still, don't know. I've got his address now, but I've got that like perhaps I don't want to know feeling.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. So So still waiting for Leeds. I always bring my phone up though. My missus will tell you this. I always bring my phone up with me. Nobody ever rings me. But I always bring my phone up with me and I said to her just in case Leeds texts me because he used to text me and phone me during shows, being a bell end and tried to be awkward. So I always take my phone up. So Leeds, if you do listen, mate, just let us know. Give us a text or something. We're going to. Well, did you see this video? I saw this video and it had gone out live, so I think I'd seen it quite quickly after it had been done. But it were in Australia, and there were doctors, and the doctor's surgery. Some blokes had come in who got like uniforms on, looked official, who'd got compliance officer written on them, and they'd gone into this doctor's surgery in this Australian town. I'm assuming it's like just a small town, because it was just a small doctor's surgery with a couple of doctors, I think. And they
Is it remove the 12-year-old kid?
no, they wanted copies of everyone's medical records.
Wow.
They wanted copies of everyone's medical records, and because they'd made the request and the doctor had said no, so they'd sent blokes round to go and get everyone's medical records.
Wow.
Now, what I linked that to something. I'll tell you what I thought. You know what they want? They want to know who's fucking vaccinated and who isn't. If he might be a doctor. There might be a doctor there that's not vaccinating enough people. You know what I mean? So they want to see who's vaccinated and who's not. Now, it got me thinking about, they won't have to do that now, because there was that thing last year, weren't there? In this country, if they want to do that in this country, everybody's medical records, if they didn't opt out, and luckily I did for both me and Danielle, if you didn't opt out, your medical records could be sold on.
Everything can be sold on, mate. It's all on presumption. If you don't say no, they sell
it. But you had to do it before a certain date, and that was last year, I think, because I remember doing it. I think I did it last fucking day or something like that. But so they won't have to do that here. They won't have to go around and physically get medical records. So that's something that's come in handy. That came in last year. That obviously were probably passed in law before. It's just a joke, isn't it? It's just a joke. In second hour, anyway, we're nearly coming up. Well, we've got 12 minutes left in this one. In second hour, I'm going to open it up. So if you want to come on, and I know Uni's going to come on. He wants to say something. We'll probably talk about Alex Jones with him, because Alex Jones has just been found liable for damages to the Sandy Hook families. I don't know what happened to all the evidence that he got of it that we're going to produce in court, but Dr. Mark Hobart on Twitter. Thanks for that, Spanish chicken. What were I talking about? I read chat and I fucking forget where I were. What were I talking about, Webby? Can you remember?
No, I thought you were just going off on one.
I was talking about something. I got onto a particular subject. Oh, Alex Jones.
That's him.
So he's been found liable for paying damages. It's going to be interesting to see how much they were awarded, because Alex Jones, I mean, he's worth a fair few bob, but this could wipe him out, couldn't it?
I wouldn't be surprised, because Alex, I never tell anybody never to go and look at Alex Jones. If it weren't for Alex Jones, I wouldn't have got into some of the subjects. Whatever he was doing or whatever he's selling, you've got to take people's information. Now, I think that the Sandy Hook thing is all about trying to stifle free speech. I don't think they've got anything on what maybe Alex Jones has played his role in this, because, we've talked about people in this country who go to court with cases with the intention of actually losing. Well, maybe the deal's already been cut for Alex Jones. We don't know. This is the problem. We're watching Punch and Judy shows on all different television sets. We watch the one in Parliament. Oh, no, it isn't. Oh, yes, it is. And then we watch it in America. There's no difference. The people are sat at home where, if I open my curtains now, it's, night time, a couple of cars going past, somebody walking the dog. There's not a war going on here. But on my TV, there's a war. Look at all these people dying, being killed. But it's not happening here, so it isn't real. We don't live it, so it's rumours. It's when you start to see it happening here where people are wearing masks, people are harassing you, people are saying, have you had your vaccine? That's happening. There isn't the wars, but all this stuff is going on somewhere. But is it all going on somewhere? We don't know. We are told there's wars going on here, here, and here. Now, because of the internet, we can talk to people who are in those zones. I was being told that Syria was an invasion of foreign forces led by, terrorists that were funded, armed, and trained by us, possibly, from people on the ground, while the BBC were telling us it's a civil war. So we've got to take information from everywhere. And I think maybe Alex Jones, because he is worth a few bob, the people who were telling the truth, some of them don't get to make that few bob, and some do. So, it makes you think, well, maybe if your palm has been crossed with silver, but maybe you're only going to take it so far. Maybe if it gets to the point where his family are being taken into camps, maybe then he'll say something. If he is indeed like that, we just don't know, Jason. That's what the point of this show was, wasn't it? When you ask real questions, it's not scripted. It's off a conversation, and you ask the questions because when you are, it's like I think you've had a few people where when they wanted to come on your show, they wanted to vet what you were going to ask them. What questions were you going to ask them? What you couldn't talk to them about. As soon as somebody says that to me, I don't want to talk to them. I feel you've got something to hide, So I think this is all about free speech. And I say about the conversation that this old girl had with me, said when she's watched a program on the Holocaust, it wasn't army on the streets. It didn't start like that. It started with language. Well, here we are again. The language has already been changed, and they're asking about locking down a section of people. That's discrimination. If nobody brings a suit under the Discrimination Act or the Equalities Act, whichever, then they'll go to the next base. The dinosaurs testing the electric fences. Oh, it's down. Let's get through that fence. We'll go to the next one. And they'll just keep testing that. They're testing the waters here now. Shall we lock these people up? In Australia, they said yes. Oh, it's costing you a lot of money to house these people in these 5-star hotels. If we build this camp, purpose-built outside, we could save that money. What do you think, people? Yeah, that's a great idea. I've had my vaccine. Get rid of them. Let's get to the pub. Wow.
I thank God for Max Egan, the only truth and unit I trust in. Okay. It's interviewed Max a couple of times, haven't we?
Yeah, he's in Mexico now.
Is he in Mexico? I ain't heard from him for a while. I've not seen out on him. So
he's jumped Australia. He said they were going to come for him, so he's fled Australia to Mexico.
He's fled Australia. Oh right, okay. Right.
He thought he claimed that he knew they were coming for him, so he left, went to Mexico.
To show neighbour. Max Egan. This magician, I think it's supposed to be. Wait your ass up. Like that, Sean. Look, there's different people, isn't there? That people you go through certain phases. I mean, I listened to Alex Jones. I've fucking round about 2007, I think. I was listening to Alex Jones. And it's stages you go through. I think I don't know whether it's all sad, laid out for you. So you start off like with Alex Jones and that, and then go on David Icke, and then you trickle down until you get to scummy little corners of the internet like this. You know, we fucking paint peeling off up walls and that. And then you finally get some proper, real fucking truth.
Well, the thing is, you can watch these like this now, where you just described what some people, my back room, if they could see all the crap and rubbish that's in there, who's listening to him? And yet, when we go to the mainstream, who's meant to be the truth, the councils and stuff like that, they're sat on Zoom meetings with face masks on. They're in a room on their own on a webcam with a face mask on, and people are looking to these people to solve problems in the community. Well, that's like, well, who's created all these problems? The council. Who's going to solve it? The council. Well, the ones who created the problems are going to solve it. Yeah. Well, what they're going to do about, Dave and his family? They're getting evicted and they're going to possibly starve and die. What are you going to do about it? Well, we've just handed a contract to the Beijing construction company to renovate Wigan Town Centre. What's wrong with that? Well, what about Dave and his family? Well, look at what we're doing for the community. What about Dave? Going to be some nice shops here. Do you see? They just don't listen. They stick their fingers in their ears because they are told by the lawyers what they can and they can't do. Basically, you can do whatever you like, but let us know what you're going to do because we'll tell you whether you can or you can't. That's where you get the people who get a bit too big for the boots. People like the mayor of Liverpool who comes unstuck. He's been protected a long time, a long, 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 long time before it's got to the point where, listen, we can't protect you anymore. Maybe the people who paid him didn't get paid, so they cut the rope underneath them and let everybody go. Don't care that you're the mayor. Don't care that you're a Freemason. If you're going to stop us getting paid, we'll stop you. We've got all these things going on, Jace, with, the councils, with the police, with the secret societies. People go, he goes off from secret societies again. What do you think people do in your local towns and cities every Wednesday? They go and practice. What do you think they're practicing? They don't know. They don't know what they're practicing. They think, oh, look, hey, Dave's got a window cleaning business and I've got a block of flats. We've shook hands and we've come up with a great deal. Brilliant. But what you're paying your money into, where's all that energy going? Well, the people who are above you don't care about you. They just want your money. So the prestige of going into all this stuff it's sycophantic. You've got a fantasy about putting this regalia on and white gloves and being pomp and stuff like that, with being ignorant to what actually the craft is, what the magic with a K is that's involved in all this, because we're taught not to believe it. These people who run these places believe in it. The ceremonies, the rituals are specific. Go and read about them. Oh no, it doesn't matter about that. Well, that's part of the problem. If you've got a scale of 1 to 100, Jace, me and you will be in like the 30% of dickheads are going, hey, what's going on here? Let's have a talk. And then you've got the other 30% at the opposite end of people who are going, follow the science, just have your jab, we can go back to normal. And then you've got the 60% in the middle who don't care. Love Island's on. Liverpool are playing. England have just won 10-0. Did you hear what Chubby Brown can't play a thingy, blah, blah, blah. So the 60% argue about nothing or don't argue at all and just get on with things. Well, that's 60% of the most dangerous part of the demographic, because the 30% can't do it to us because there's another 70. But when they split the 70% and you put 30% in as, oh, look at them, they're a bunch of dickheads with tinfoil on. All of a sudden, the ones who are saying follow the science don't seem as scary. But now what you've seen is the majority in the middle is starting to ask questions. It doesn't mean they're swaying to coming down to our end of the scale, but they're asking questions. But most of them have all double jabbed. I'm serious when I think the third booster could be, potentially fatal. Maybe not drop dead fatal. But it's not going to, your immune system's going to be so low. I don't know, and it's only information, Jason. I don't know what this means, but conceptual, you can see the concept that there's a lot of mischief that could come out of this. And, Klaus Schwab, I'm hearing stories that he's been arrested. No, he's not. Yes, he has. No, he's not. I'm hearing that he's been arrested because of the monies that they've made over the COVID-19. He's written a book, COVID-19, The Big Reset. There's allegations that this World Economic Forum have said all along in their own documents, we're not going back. We're changing the world for good. So that means that everybody who's done everything that they've asked is basically for nothing, because it's not going back to what it was. Never will be. We're going right to the end with this, and it's where you draw the line. It's going to be drawn for you if you don't draw it.
Yeah. You're going to be pushed over it, aren't you? You're going to be pushed back and over it and just dominated. Jackboots in the head. The old, I'll fucking die with a jackboot on my head, I'll tell you, before they put any fucking shit in me.
Yeah, me too, mate. I'm done now. I'm done.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I think there's more and more people are actually feeling like that. And that feeling that how we get it, because we get it. But people are like having this, God, I'm fucking sick of this now. It's time to, we just keep doing the same thing and expecting a different result. I mean, what's the point?
Definition of insanity.
Yeah, exactly.
And
over and over again. It's going to be once every 6 months. I saw a form that somebody had put up that was it had got how many, when did you have your fourth jab? So it's got, jab 4. When you had it, I think it were part of this passport thing or whatever that they're fucking talking about. I mean, it's beyond words. It is beyond words how insane it's got.
Well, in Ohio,
we've got blokes jumping out of fucking taxis like heroes, like Bruce Willis, fucking outside an hospital, and he's only a taxi driver. He's only a taxi driver, a small town taxi driver, and he's fucking, he's fucking. Before this suicide bomber's fucking baloney sent up, he's punched him in the face 4 times, got over his head and gone like that, and then got his arms and gone, what you think you 10 for? What you think you 10 for? What you think you 10 for? Then he's jumped out and things blown up just in time. Fucking just insanity. People are buying it. But you see, the lie about the lie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you'll get we know that it's a lie. This is whatever they tell us is a fucking lie. Whatever they're telling us is a lie, but don't lie about it being a lie. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah. Well, what it does is if they tell a lie and then there's another lie about that lie, as soon as somebody said, oh, that's a lie, and then you see somebody go, well, that's a lie as well, and they're lying about that. So straight away, with those 2 comments, you've created a split. If you build on that, that'll cause cognitive dissonance because you don't know the answer. You're batting backwards and forwards. Well, once you're backwards and forwards enough, somebody can just go, stop, do that. Or it's this. And you've been that confused, and it might not even be a conscious thing, but you're that confused, you'll just accept that answer. And we have been kept in that state from cradle to grave. You're in a constant state of fear. I mean, most of us, particularly my age, my first experience of the trauma of coming into this world is that made me cry. So straight away you come into this world, oh, what's happening here? Bang! Whoa, what's going on? I don't like this world. And then you're taught, that's life, mate. Life's hard. That's life. Work hard, pay your bills. And then
Mhm.
people never stop to go, why? Well, I've always asked why until it got kicked out of me. And then I went along with everything, made a lot of stupid decisions, virtually became an alcoholic because all those decisions blew up in my face. And then sat on the other side of it saying, how's all this happened? Because I thought I knew what I was doing. And then you go back and you realise nothing you've ever done, you've known you were doing. Look at me, I own my house. No, you don't. You're a dickhead. You think you do, and everybody else is laughing at you. Know that you can't own your property. I thought I owned my house until they stole it. And then you find out, well, they've got jurisdiction over everything that's commercial. Well, my house isn't commercial. Can be, though, can't it? What do you mean it can be? Well, it can be a shop, can't it? Well, I suppose so. Next. That's it. And they've got the police who will listen to them and not you, because the police don't understand the law. If there's one thing you'd change straight away is about the police, is every man and woman has to know the law, not statutes and acts, not engagement in agreements. We could set certain things, calling for, people to be shamed in public or violence. We've got laws for all this. But dropping a piece of paper, you're a tramp. Let's shame them. You're a tramp. But we can't force them to pay for that. They might just be a knobhead. And we've got loads of knobheads. Can you imagine if we just start fining people for being knobheads? We're nearly there. Hey, he's a knobhead. I want him fined. What's your name, mate? Oh, it's Paul. Are we going to get to that stage?
Well, I tell you what, if there's a fine for being a fucking knobhead, then I'm going to be the richest man in the world. Because, yeah. So I wanted to ask you, Webby, when you were born, then did you have your arse slapped? Because I can remember my birth, and I don't recall having my arse slapped.
It was what happened when I was born in those days. I can't remember that far back. I can remember from about 2, maybe 3-year-old. I've got memories from, but not that
early. You're younger than me, aren't you?
No, I'm 49.
Yeah, I'm 50-fucking-1.
Oh, I thought you was younger than me, mate.
No,
I honestly thought you were 48. I thought you were younger than me.
I were 48 one time. This one time. In fact, I can say that, can't I? I'm 48.
Yeah, well, put it this way: the people that you grew up with, they never get any younger, and they just seem to disappear, don't they? I'm going to be 50 next year, and it's taken me 40 of those years to actually ask questions about the world I live in, and it was through trauma and people saying they were going to do things to you that you knew wasn't quite right, but how can they get away with something like that? And then you realise that when you want to go and report it to the people who are meant to help you, well, they've already turned up with guns on you. So
Yeah.
they know which side they're on. And it took that for me to ask questions. And I think maybe it wasn't conscious, Jace, but when I was going through my very angry phases, somebody would only have to jokingly call me a dickhead about gas, water, and electric, and I was angry because I'd seen what this system had done to me personally. It wasn't sat behind a keyboard like people was trying to insinuate. Oh, you've done me. No, I've been stood there and had armed police called on me, video evidence gatherers, had my house stolen, but I still stood there and went toe to toe with these fuckers. So no, I'm angry when you're trying to put piss on me chips and stuff like that. Especially when where's your court evidence? Where's your paperwork that says your gas is free? Those people, they're not even worth talking to now, because those people are the same people that put people on cattle cars.
They're time wasters. They're energy fucking vampires. The time wasters. You might as well spend that time. If you're going to get have that time and you're going to waste it with them, you might as well sit scratching your bollocks for the amount of time you would have spent with them. Someone says that, you just fucking boom. It's just idiot. If you don't know by now, you're far too fucking far behind for me to explain it to you. And, you know, you'll have to fucking work it out for yourself, like what I did. Like, well, not you, me, you. Like, I were being you then.
Yeah, well, it's the same with. I mean, because they don't. Most people now, because I'm way past the stage where people can call me a dickhead for your gas being free, because I can articulate it well enough for them to go, oh, I won't go there. So then it was flat Earth, but then you can ask questions that they can't answer about the flat Earth, and then you ask them, well, why do you think that? Well, because everybody knows that. Well, we're going back on the same type of track. So then somebody at work once said to me, "Oh, so you believe in Jesus?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "You're on drugs." And I went, "Why?" "Well, you must be mad believing in somebody not seeing blah blah blah." I went, "You still think you've got to pay for your gas, love?" I said, "I can't convince you of that."
Yeah. Anyway, I've put the link in if anybody wants to join us. I know Uni's going to jump on. I saw Paul in earlier on. I sent him a message and said that sent him a link and said, you know, if you want to jump on, jump on.
Make
Hey?
sure Uni's got his socks or his trainers on, mate. I'm not looking at them feet. I'm going.
Now, listen, he's going to have to fuck it. Unless he's got his like skin coloured one on. You know, the one that's same colour as his skin, that pure white one. Because it's purebred, isn't it?
Is what?
He's a purebred. He's totally anti-Semitic. It's a wonder he ain't got blonde hair. I think he probably has got blonde hair, but he disguises it by dyeing it dark so that we don't suspect that he's a Nazi war criminal.
Criminal.
Here he is. Uni.
Hey, what's up? And no, I do not. I don't even know how to dye my hair, so you're out of luck on that one.
Yo, for fuck's sake, it's fucking 3-0 now.
So
what's going on in your world then, Uni? The world of the incel.
Well, pretty much same old. Although, I want to say, in response to what you were saying earlier about the whole, listen to the information. Don't go after the beholder of it. Webby, you were saying that.
I'm not sure I could put it quite like that, but I know what you mean, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, my bad. I misquoted.
It's not the people. It's not the people who've given you the information, but if you're not open to information that could change your perspective, and you're close to that, you'll shut it off straight away. The problem that you've got is when you do prize that open with a question, then they open themselves up to the possibility of them looking silly. If they don't know what you're talking about and they've got an opinion on it and they've already voiced it, and then you crack that open, all of a sudden there's that vulnerability. So that's where it can become aggressive against you. But bearing in mind that I've been at those stages, and it's only when you come through that stage that I could sit now and I would, maybe I'd probably boil a little bit inside, but I'd walk away from people rather than get into a heated argument anymore. Because if people have got an opinion, they'll stick with it. If they think that is correct, especially if it makes impact on their life, they'll stick with what they know because they can handle it, they can spin that plate and they can keep it going. All of a sudden, you're asking them a question that starts to tickle them under their arm while they're trying to spin the plate, and the plate starts to wobble. So they become aggressive. So at the end of the thing, don't come and shout at me. Just take it and say, oh, well, I don't know about that. I'll go and have a look. Or don't. But the factor is, this information that we're taught is so tainted. We've created generations of idiots. And, I was an idiot. I hold my hands up because you've been taught to be an idiot. If you're taught to be an idiot, what are you? If you're taught to be a mechanic, you're a mechanic.
Yep, pretty much. Although I honestly feel like that applies to the truth community as well. We fall under these preconceived notions about things like 9/11, etc., and we don't ever think about like other possibilities of stuff. Like, for example, I'm assuming you know David Chandler, right?
Yes.
Well, not recently. It was like a couple of years ago now. But he messed with the Pentagon footage for the Flight 77 video release, and he proved without a shadow of a doubt Flight 77 did hit the Pentagon.
He proved that the plane hit the Pentagon.
Yes, that Flight 77 hit the Pentagon.
How did he prove that?
Yeah, he did a whole presentation on it, and then he did a follow-up with a group of 9/11 researchers. He even messed with the video. He in a way where he actually showed that you can actually see the plane clearly in the video at the Pentagon release of the plane hitting the Pentagon.
Have you seen this, Jace? Because I've never seen an aeroplane at the Pentagon.
I can link you the video. Although I just need a spanner. Damn it!
What are you talking about now?
Is that woman?
Pentagon?
Yes.
He's saying that David Chandler has done a presentation and manipulated the video so you can see it clearly that he shows Flight 77, the aeroplane, hitting the Pentagon, whereas I can't see anything of an aeroplane in that. But
I've watched
it. I'd like to see it.
I've watched it. It's not very compelling. Let's just say it's not a smoking fucking gun.
See, one of the reasons is why I'm thinking, because again, Jace, you've just hit the nail on the head before when you said, well, if there's something out there, there's a lie put out there straight away to try and split people on it. So was Flight 77 not one of the alleged flights that landed at an Air Force base?
That was 93, I think.
I'm not sure now. I'm going back.
I'm pretty sure that story was 93. Yeah, it was 93 that they said that happened with. But I'm pretty sure that got popularized by Loose Change. I'm pretty sure. And let's be honest here. Loose Change is. I'm not gonna mince my words. Loose Change is one of the biggest false films created for the 9/11 truth movements. It's popularized so many false narratives that don't have any real relevance whatsoever.
Well, I'll contest you on that because there's a lot of golden nuggets in Loose Change too, particularly. Not saying that there isn't what you're saying, Taylor, but what you are saying, you will detract people from looking at that information by stating what you've stated, whereas I wouldn't say that. I'd say go and look at it for yourself. That's decide. True. Don't listen to me saying that these are a bunch of shills. Because I'm ex-MI5 or current MI5, MI6, and GCHQ. If that's
true. That's a good point. Yeah, I probably should have put it like that.
I think what it is with you, Taylor, you're still quite new into this, and you're that passionate about it, and your emotions take over you. Me and Jace have been there. I mean, there's a couple of car crash radio shows that me and Jace don't refer too much.
There's a few, yeah. There's one or two, But listen, I wanted to say something actually, because you're talking about these. It's interesting you brought this up, because I had somebody email me and offer me that they could get me a guest on. A lady called Rebecca Roth, who have you heard of her, Uni?
Rebecca Roth, no.
Rebecca Roth, she's a former flight attendant. She worked on one at 9/11 planes, but she's a former flight attendant, and she's really gone really deeply into the flights and what happened to them and where they were and all sorts of different theories about them. So somebody's offered me her. So I've emailed back and said, if she wants to come on, she'll come on. But I mean, she's been on Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie.
Has she written a book called Methodical Agenda?
That's her. Yeah. So she's. It'd be good to get her on.
Like I say, it's nice to get new perspectives. I mean, I enjoyed the, what's the last name, Jace? Dr. Judy?
Wood.
Because that's a perspective. When you see what happens to some of that structure, you've got to ask the question, what's going on there? Because it's obviously not just explosives, and it's obviously not an aeroplane fire that's done that. I don't know. You know, when you see something just disappear as if it's out of like Mario Brothers or something like that.
The Wile E. Coyote implant in the building.
Exactly. All that kind of stuff where you see a solid steel structure like a spire sticking out of this concrete that's pulverized, and then instead of toppling or anything like that, it just dissipates into a mist. That's strange.
Speaking of that, me and James Perloff actually did a presentation on that about a month ago or so, and we tackled the planes at the World Trade Center, and that's why I'm a bit mixed on the whole thing, because there was a lot of good evidence presented that shows that the planes actually really could have hit the World Trade Center. Not that they caused it to collapse, but the idea that planes did hit the World Trade Center, and specifically the ones that we were told hit it. Flight 11, 175 and all that. I don't want to sound like, because I don't want to paraphrase. I feel like, just go watch the footage, go watch the video for yourself, see what James Perloff has to say, because he presents some very good evidence. And I say the same thing about David Chandler. Take a look at what he has to say and then come to your own conclusions. Like you said, Webby, see it for yourself, because there's some pretty damning evidence. There's also a nice book out called 9/11 Airplane. I believe it's called Airplane Debris. It's it really tackles the planes. There's a good comparison for Flight 93 as well. There's another flight that was just like that called Flight 1771. I believe it's South something Airlines. It went down at nearly over 700 miles per hour. And it was pretty much the same thing as Flight 93. Like it disappeared pretty much. Like it's a good comparison to that to that event. That's why I'm saying I don't think that we should be locked into this preconceived notion of like what happened to the planes or et cetera, et cetera. I feel like that we should be looking at other pieces of evidence too, even if they do sound a bit, how should I put this, suspicious. We should be willing to look at it and judge for ourselves. That's why I feel the same way about Sandy Hook. I personally am not sold on either side of Sandy Hook. I've seen I've seen the evidence for why that it's a staged event and why that there's nothing going on with it. But at the same time, I've seen plenty of very credible people like Michael Collins Piper and American Free Press who have said that this event was a genuine one, and that's the people who are creating the image of it being a false flag is creating a false narrative in order to incite a false theories to make us look bad, like free speech and all that. And about the whole a lot of people like to give the excuse of the whole disarming the American public, but the problem is that like all these big gun companies are all Zionist owned. Most of them are owned in Israel, so they don't have any reason to get rid of the guns off of the American people, because at the end of the day, they know that we don't have the courage to actually go out and use them.
Taylor,
yes.
what about if Sandy Hook was a false flag to get to court for a freedom of speech court case to be lost?
That's a good point.
Because
like I said,
you're saying that this is a real event, right? Well,
no. What I'm saying is that I'm split 50-50. I understand both sides.
I can't get split 50-50 when you don't see what they're saying, right? If you've ever been on a jury, if you're expecting, when people make, it's just happened in the Kyle Rittenhouse stuff, when you have a prosecutor who states what they're going to show you. So with Kyle Rittenhouse, you will see this man chase this Rosenbaum fella down and gun him in the back like a dog. Basically, that's what he told the jury would see. And then you don't see that. And you're left thinking, whose side are you on, mate? I mean, this prosecutor, it's got that bad. I mean, when your star witness who got shot says on the stand, yeah, he didn't shoot me until I pointed my gun at him. Oh, so it's self-defense? Well, yeah. That's your star witness gone. So your case is gone. So what does he do? So Kyle, you're 17. You've not got a driving license. No. Then how did you get to work in Koneshka or whatever it's called? Well, I drove. You drove without a license every day to work and back? I'm going, wow, you are really desperately losing this case, mate. You've gone from a murderer to a violation of his driving license. Now, if that's coming into play, all I can say is ahead of the game, because Ohio are piloting digital driving licenses that have got two key factors on them, Jace. One's your health passport and your medical records, and what was the other? Social credit score.
Yeah.
Already being pioneered in Ohio. I bet you'll see that Scotland, Northern Ireland, Wales.
Wait, are you talking to me, Jason?
It's what?
Sorry, I was confused which you were asking, Webby.
I'm not asking. I was just making a statement. Basically,
We're just talking, man. We're just chatting shit, aren't we?
Oh, my bad. I misheard.
That's what we do, man.
Sorry, I'm just posting stuff in the private chat. I don't, because I don't want to sound like I'm just stalking out of my ass. You know, I want to provide stuff, but I don't have a spanner, so I can't put it in the public chat. So I just put it in the private chat for you guys to take a look at if you want.
Public chat.
Yes, public chat. Yes.
Fucking hell, you nearly blew me fucking ears off then, man. Poor old fucking Collins' hats fell off.
Webby, do you know Michael Collins Piper?
I know the name.
He used to be a very prominent member of the truth community for several decades. He died in 2015. He was very in tune with the Zionists, the Jewish, and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like he has a lot of credentials. Like he's a very credible guy, unlike Alex Jones, who's just like. I agree with what you said before. That Alex Jones should at least be. You should at least look at the information that he gives out. But like anytime I see Alex Jones, I'm just thinking to myself, all this man here is doing is just stifling the truth community, essentially.
Alex Jones is stifling the truth community.
As in, like he's splitting us apart, like when it comes to like different ideas and stuff like that. But if that makes any sense, like
it does, Taylor. But because 10 years ago, I would agree with you that Alex Jones said it. Well, he's telling the truth. He's putting this out. Then as you grow, you start to realise, well, he's telling some of the truth, maybe not all of the truth, because he won't touch on certain things. And you see it with truth movement people, whatever that means. You see it with truthers here now in this country, now right happening. So again, you're saying Alex Jones is splitting people. Well, it splits people who aren't thinking, because if you just take his information, you can go and corroborate that in 100 other sources or not corroborate it. But if Alex Jones has said it and you think that that's right, then you've already disarmed yourself. And if Alex Jones says it, automatically you think, well, that's a load of shit because it's Alex Jones. You're at a disadvantage. So they're winning by doing that. Now, if you just go and look at Alex Jones and take what he's saying, they're making the freaking frogs gay. Well, he's a dickhead. Listen to what he's saying. Well, have you checked out what he was trying to say? Because he could be saying it like that, so you think he's a dickhead, so I won't look into that. And yet there's documented evidence of, because of the amount of estrogen and things like that, the medications that are going into the water supply, that it was spontaneously happening. But because Alex Jones said it, and he said it like that, and then they make a song out of it, and it's a meme, and they make fun of him all of a sudden, and he might be paid well for them to do that. He could be just an actor. We don't know this. Michael Collins Piper could have been the revolutionist that could have changed everything, and he died or they killed him. We don't know any of that. So, as you said earlier, Taylor, you hit the nail on the head when You can't speculate on that. 9/11, Dave Von Kleist had the best approach. Asked questions. He was the only one who wasn't shot to pieces during that spell of those 9/11. Loose Change kept saying, this happened, this happened. You had people saying, there was no aeroplanes, look at this. That's an accusation that has to be proved by you. You know, you make that statement, you better be able to prove it. Whereas, well, look, it looks like the plane comes straight through the building here. What's all that about? That would have been a better approach. Whereas Dave Von Kleist made that film and he just went, what does this mean? What would that do? What happened to this? This can't happen on any other circumstances. All of a sudden, people had to leave him alone or say, you can't play guitar, Dave. Something derogatory about him. That was all they could do. And if people are calling you names, I think most of the time you're knocking on the right door.
Pretty much. I mean, the main reason why I just look at Alex Jones as a grain of salt is because he's the same guy who was pushing the whole Muslims did 9/11 agenda. You know, the whole he was talking to Donald Trump about that, saying, "Oh, you know, we need to go after the radical Muslims that were seen dancing on 9/11." He's referring to
who was that? Sorry, Taylor.
Alex Jones said that to Donald Trump. He was talking about the dancing Israelis, but he was referring to them as Muslims on purpose.
Yeah, again, we don't know if he did that on purpose or he didn't, but there's evidence or information at least that hints that he plays both sides. We don't know that, but take the information. It's just information. You know, somebody comes in who's a known liar and you're on your way out and he says it's raining, maybe have a look outside before you put your coat on. You know, it's so simple. It's so simple if you don't get caught up in all the dramas and the arguments. And it's hard to do that when you're slowly waking up to the fact that your life has been littered with lies. And the best liars are your parents because they actually think that they're telling you the truth. And they're actually teaching you how to survive and how to lose, but stay alive within an economic system that you don't understand. Most people don't want to understand. I have paper, I give paper, I get product, I go. That's all they want to know. No, what do I do for that? You build wall, you mow grass, you fix car, I do that. I go on holiday now. That's how they kept people. And then all of a sudden, because, I watched a program on quantum physics and blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, everybody's an intellect. People throwing that at me. But I go and speak to people on subjects I don't know about, like viruses. Who should I speak to? Should I speak to Dave the joiner? No. I'll speak to Judy, the virologist. Basic information she gave me. You can't catch a virus, Judy. No. Please tell me why. Well, it's a surface contact bacteria, Paul. You touch a surface, you rub your eye, you become infected. And out of the trillions of viruses you carry around, your immune system selects the right ones for a new one and see how it goes. If it's already got it, you won't get ill because you've already got the blueprint for it. I went, that makes a lot of sense, Judy. She went, yeah. So if somebody can take a 30-year virology subject and put it into a sentence like that, I know that person knows what they're talking about. If you've got to start quoting mathematical figures and big long words and you can't put it into a sentence that everybody can understand, then I think you're flapping.
It's a good point.
Uni, just give me a second,
yeah.
and then we'll get some more from you. But people are asking how Watson is, and he's a fucking knob, according to Heath. That's only because he bit him when he came. So if he knew he were frightened, so he fucking went and bit him. That's what he does. He's a fucking bites you. Yeah, he's all right. He trolls me all the time though, right? When I come up to bed at night, he comes up and he usually comes up lift with me. Sometimes he just don't come. He just don't bother. And then other times he'll come halfway and then just lay down. But most of the time he gets in. Anyway, yesterday I was getting it lift and he were in cage next to the lift, and I said, well, Watson, come on, now we're going to bed. And he got up, and he went and sat. He come and he sat on the floor just in front of the lift, so I could close the door. So he just laid there, the little fucker. Fucking laid. Oh, he's growling. He's growling at me.
He knows you're calling him, mate.
He's fucking growling at me, the little cunt. So
Yeah, Watson.
he knows. He knows I'm talking about him. Don't you, Watson? Yes, he does. So yes, he bites every cunt. He says he don't. If you're not frightened, if you come in and you've got to be, remember that door-to-door salesman training that we asked. If you've got to be confident, you've got to sell it that you're all right. You're not afraid of him. Anyway,
as Watson suffering from little man syndrome, so as soon as he sees that he's got a bit jittery, he thinks I can act hard here. Is that?
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what he's done. If he should have come in with a swagger, you know what I mean?
He should have just
walk with the bounce, walk with the bounce, walk with the bounce.
He should have just said, Watson, I'm just a boy from Sheffield trying to make me way, mate.
Yeah. You, Nick, what else is on your mind anyway? You said you wanted to come on tonight. What?
Well, first of all, I mean, like, I just like coming on just so I can, talk to you guys because I like talking to you guys. It's you can have intelligent conversations and not just call each other names and or talk about childish stuff.
Well, we just call you names, but me essentially. I'm sorry about that, but I'm not. But you know what I mean.
As long as you don't call me as long as you don't call me a Jewish Marxist, I'm fine.
Oh fucking hell! What do you comment? You can't put in comments like that on my videos. That the Queen, our Queen, is going to take a dirt nap with Stalin soon, or is.
Sorry, it's just that I said that because it's just that she became queen around the same time he died, so it's just like, well, she might as well go join him because fuck. God, save the queen and all that. Which I believe it was Sean Hammer in the chat. He was saying that America is still owned by the British Crown. That the American Revolution never actually separated us from the British Crown. It was just more of the king essentially said, "I no longer have any actual responsibility over it, but I still own it."
The revolution never revolved.
They finished paying the debt. They finished paying the debt to the banks about. Was it 10 years ago, something like that? Maybe less than 10 years ago, they finished paying off what they so-called debt from the Civil War. Because they were obviously the banks were funding both sides of the Civil War. So they managed to balance that debt. That's why the North decided to use their own money. They balanced the books.
That whole Civil War was just an event meant to forcefully unify these 50 little countries into one big single entity, so they could start stuff. That's the thing about America. Like from the very start, America has always been planned to be this big giant bully to the rest of the world. It started off. We were founded by Freemasons. Washington.
It's Babylon, mate. It's been set up as Babylon.
Yeah, exactly. All our founders were Freemasons. Benjamin Franklin and all them. They were all Freemasons. And freaking you got the Civil War, which it's like like I said, unify the sides. Then you get into stuff like the Spanish-American War, and where Teddy Roosevelt literally said in a letter that we are no longer an isolationist country. We will use our military strength to do whatever we see fit. I'm just paraphrasing him, but that's basically what he said. And, it just leads to one war after another. It's just like, it didn't start with the Fed. It's always been that way. It just, it took about, about 100 plus years in order to actually implement the Federal Reserve System, through people like Jacob Schiff, which, this is the reason why that I say anti-Jewish stuff so much, is because when you look back at all of the people and their affiliated groups who have been responsible for all these big events, particularly of the 20th century, you find that they're all Jewish. I mean, look at all the major networks. Who created CBS?
For fuck's sake, I'd said none of this fucking anti-Semite shit.
Sorry. Sorry.
Just kicks him sen off, doesn't he? He just starts his sen. He starts an argument with his sen.
I can hear him. You know, it's like all of a sudden I could hear him starting to get dressed and slapping a wig on and a little tash at that point.
Wait, what?
Well, I was just about to say as well. When you finish, when I hoped you'd finished, I was just about to say as well that you were talking about when he said anti-Jew, you were talking about your anti-Jew, but you got cut off at end.
No,
for anybody listening,
I'm not anti-Jewish. I'm anti-prick. It's just that many of the top dogs of the world, and they just so happen to be Jewish. And then you have their Gentile underlings like the Rockefellers and the Morgans and all them. It's not me trying to hate.
Doing it.
Are you a big Trump fan, Taylor, or not?
No, I hate Trump so much. I hate him.
You hate Donald Trump. Have you always hated Donald Trump?
I have never thought of him in a positive light, to be honest, because I never bought into this whole QAnon Trump thing. Like, as soon as I heard about this whole election thing, I was just like, oh, another prick. Like, oh, congratulations, we got another dickhead in the White House. Like, it's like, and yeah, maybe he's better than Hillary. But at the same time, why would you pick the
Taylor? This is the question for you, Jace. What do you think of this? How would Taylor feel to know that Donald Trump is the first Jewish president of America?
Wait, he's Jewish? This man's Jewish?
He converted to Judaism.
Oh, yeah, and that means yeah. I thought you meant biologically.
See, Taylor, this is where people go wrong with this anti-Semitism stuff. You get dragged into people who aren't Jews. Well, then you start saying the Zionists. Well, that comes under the same umbrella. Stick with, if you're a cunt, you're a cunt, right? And there's a lot of cunts, and they come from various backgrounds, various colours, various arrangements, and they all work on the same agenda on different compartments. What's your compartment? Right, well, he needs to know all this and we'll pay him that. That's it. That's all these people are interested in. That's how they keep this mechanism going. People always say, it's like a kid that's saying, is Father Christmas real, Dad? Of course it is. Imagine it if it wasn't real. How many people would have to be in on that? It's not hard from a child. You're telling them everything. So this is where you've got to start thinking more critically. You're cutting things off and you've got opinions based on what I believe is not true information. You've got it from people what have said things and other people what have said things. Bit of plagiarism. You've had a plagiarist on the show once or twice, haven't you, Jace?
Once or twice. Webby. Oh God, what were I going to say there now? We're going to say something. You'd said something, now we're going to say something else.
Well, I was going to answer you.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's what I was going to say.
Well, that's the answer then.
Excellent. Well,
I'm glad we sorted that.
There we go. Father, yeah. Christmas. That's what I was. That's where I was. Something about Christmas. Yeah.
It's pagan.
Oh, it's definitely.
No, it was something daft.
Christmas
it was something worth listening to. It weren't a fact. Facts aren't worth listening to. Oh, well, that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying. You get the Santa Claus analogy, and it's quite apt. It's. But for kids, with the Santa Claus thing, there's a payoff, isn't there? They believe in Santa Claus, and they get to see the fucking parents acting like cunts and fucking doing stupid shit like dressing up as fucking Santa. And oh yeah, we fucking know anyway. If a kid could talk properly, they go, well, and honestly, because kids are lying cunts and all, because they know it's you. So what they fucking doing pretending it's Father Christmas? So they're playing along with it, but there's a payoff for them. But what's because they get all fucking presents and pocket a fucking load of money.
I mean, the thing is like
what's payoff for normal people though?
Yeah, the thing about Santa is like, I like the religious aspect of Christmas, as in you celebrate with Jesus and all that. But I do not like Santa Claus because he's a corporate commercial product created by Coca-Cola in the 2030s, literally to sell products. That's it's turned Christmas in from what used to be a very a Christian like holiday into whatever it is now. I mean, can you even call it that anymore? I mean, that's why it's called Christmas to begin with.
Taylor, you do know that Christmas is not a Christian holiday, don't you? It's
Is
never been
it?
a Christian holiday. It's been moved and been told that it's a Christian holiday. It's pagan. 21st to the 25th, the sun going down. It's pagan, mate. We've changed all these traditions. All these Horus and all these entities. Some of the other names fail me at the minute. All born on the 25th of December. Yet scholars are now talking that because of astrology, believe it or not, astronomy is showing that this star that people believe at Bethlehem, they've plotted it where it could have been, and it looks around about the 11th of September. So now you see why there's rituals and announcements made on dates like that. Now, that in itself doesn't tell us anything other than it contradicts what you just said. And you're speaking with authority about that then. Do you see how dangerous it is if you don't understand what you're talking about? If
Yes.
Jason wanted to debate me on cricket now, I'd just say you win, mate.
That's fair.
So please start thinking about what you. It's all right being passionate and ranting, and you call it. You say these terms, but you don't know what you're actually saying. Be more controlled about it, because when you're more articulate and you're not shouting, you're not throwing things away that people can just go, hang on a minute, look at this. You look silly straight away. So think about it, man.
Mm.
Do you get me?
Yeah, my apologies for that. I sometimes let my emotions get the better of me. Apologies.
No, don't apologise, because it shows that you care, mate. But you've got to get if you want to relay information to people, that's not the way to do it, because you can be debunked with one sentence, and because you're passionate, you start stuttering, and that gives them the second chance to jump in. Do you get me?
Yeah, makes sense. Basically, be more sure of what I'm saying, and be more open to.
If I'm a Christian, if you tell me that Christmas Day is a holiday we celebrate the birth of Christ, because of my research, I have to disagree with you. Now you're going to go, well, you're wrong. I'm going to say, what do you base that on? Well, my mum and dad told me.
Yeah. I mean, my mom and dad never told me that, actually. So I don't think they ever told me.
Fucking, how the fuck do you get from Christmas to religion?
Because he told me it was Jesus' birthday.
Fucking religion. Fucking religion and Christmas.
I mean, isn't pretty much all holidays revolved around the religion of some kind? Like, you got Halloween, Easter,
Right, Halloween is not a Christian holiday.
Oh, definitely not. That's a Satanist one right there. I mean, you could tell just by the outfits that they ask you to wear and all that. Like that I could tell.
Easter, you can argue. But I guarantee there are no chocolate eggs. There are no Easter bunnies.
Oh yeah, that I can agree.
So that is pagan. That is fertility gods. That's Ishtar. So when you're doing that, you aren't celebrating Christ. And if you're trying to mix the both, you are dividing the house. Scripture says that's naughty. It's not me that's saying it. I'm the one who's trying to study it and work my way through this shit, because guess what? Everything I've learned in this world and from this reality is lies. But I found truth somewhere. And it sounds strange to people who don't bother looking for it. I get it, because it was strange to me, but I've always known there's something after this life. And then there's something that is true about these words, because every other religion that is accepting of every other religion doesn't accept Christianity. Don't quote Catholicism, because that is not Christianity. So for me, there is only one religion that has ever said, listen, You can do whatever you like. You've got free will, but there's only one way to be saved. And that scripture has been written in the oldest known form that we know, that we agree on. That is the oldest known stuff that we know and keeps being right. So all of a sudden, I'm seeing things that contradict everything in this world. I've got to give it some leeway, and it speaks. But if you're close to that, or you're happy with your lot, and when you're dead, then there's no convincing, because I could never have been convinced until it happened. It's very strange. It makes people think it's an easy target for you to be called a nutter and things like that, because they've never experienced something where they basically, it wasn't quite overnight, but basically went to bed one night and then within a week was a totally different thinking and acting animal. And I don't think and act like I used to. It's totally different. That is very strange, very surreal, and you can't articulate that to anybody. You've just got to go through it. But if you're not looking, then you're happy where you are. And my information about everything, we don't even know what year we're in, because we're going off the Gregorian calendar. Those people that you're calling, if you go back to Orthodox Jews who've had the calendar all the way through, I think it's 5,000 and something they're in. So we don't know, but we think we do, because it was on Sky TV, so it must be right. It was in my school book, so it must be right. Well, who wrote that school book? Where'd that education system come from? Rockefellers. We want a nation of workers, not a nation of thinkers.
Yep, exactly.
So unless people can think, Taylor, we'll all just keep arguing. And what will happen with you is you'll get, like me and Jace used to always do, we'd get sucked in with one comment. You know, a dickhead in the chat room with one comment, and all of a sudden you've spent 3 hours arguing with them in the chat room. And there's no point to it. There's no point. You've just got to do what bit you can. And every day, I mean, if you go out to the shop and somebody says something that is against your opinion, and you've got a good reason to not rebuke them, but at least go, well, I think that's wrong because I think this. It's how you put that across. If you're going to turn around and start shouting about Jews in your local shop, mate, you're not going to get very far with your information.
So you're saying that it's not just about the information; it's also about how you say it and how you present it.
Yes, if you start getting passionate and all of a sudden that adrenaline starts going, your heart starts beating fast because you've got information that you know that you can put into an ear, but all of a sudden you just go, blah, 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 and somebody's stood in this queue paying for potatoes and they go, wow, what a dickhead, and they just leave. Whereas if you engage them in a conversation, even if it starts talking about potatoes, tell them, oh, look at the price of potatoes. Well, yeah, that's because, have you seen all the shipping containers that haven't been able to dock? Yeah, I have. Well, that creates a supply chain break. Yeah. Well, that means there's less food in the shop, so it creates a high price. It creates hyperinflation because there's not many potatoes. Oh, I've never thought of it like that. Well, yeah, that's why it's government policy. Let's go, Brandon. Would that have been better? Do you see what I mean? I've done it, Taylor. It doesn't help. One fella stopped me about 8 years ago in what you call Walmart. Stopped me in Asda because I'd been off. And he asked me how I was. An hour and a half later, he said, I'm going to have to stop you. I need to finish my shopping. He said, just remember, Webby, I've been here an hour and a half and I only asked you how you were because I went off on a blah, 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 rant. That fella never came and talked to me about anything that I was talking about. Just thought I'd gone nuts. So if you told me and Jace that your mum and dad think that you're going off the deep end with some of the stuff, so you've got to be more controlled because you'll hand it to them. I mean, over here, Jace, we've got the Mental Health Act being changed, haven't we? So if you can imagine Taylor being in a situation where he can't explain himself, and all of a sudden he's in trouble, and one medical professional can now section someone, not two doctors agreeing. It's a very strange state of affairs we're in. We've got to try and help each other and be a bit more careful about what we do and how we act.
That's a good point. especially.
Too many people, Taylor, want to see you fail. That's what the problem is. Because if you fail, they can be proved right. See, he was just a dickhead.
Yeah, that's a good point. And thank you for telling me that, because I do let my emotions get the better of me, and I do have a bit of trouble explaining myself as well. Like, I mean,
You've got the knowledge, mate. You've got the knowledge. You just don't know. Because I think that you're a bit like a lot of people. You've got that knowledge, but I spoke to a mate of mine 2 nights ago, and he lives in a village up towards Yorkshire, but it's a quiet little village. There's only him and his neighbours that haven't been vaccinated because they've looked into it and they're not quite happy to do it, and they're not quite happy to give it to the kids. But everybody else, it's like Stepford Wives. And, to talk about questioning Boris Johnson, what are you on about? Boris is doing a great job. These are the people that you live around. So you're going to be frustrated if you live around people like that. So it's when you get with talking to me and Jace, you just flood. You just wah, 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 because you need to get all that knowledge out and tell somebody. So that's why you started to do your podcast, because you need to speak to somebody who wasn't going, well, I mow my lawn on a Sunday at 11 o'clock and then I'll take the dog for a walk at 10 past 12 and then dinner will be ready by 1 o'clock when when you live around people like that and you start saying, I think there could be a genocidal injection program going on whilst we're being told to pay for bills that we can't pay for. You're going mad to these people. So don't let them help. Don't help them.
Listen, Taylor. Do a show whenever you want. Just do one, and even if if talking to Nobby, it's still somebody, isn't it?
yeah,
Because you're getting it out, and it'll
Get
still
it out.
be there.
That's why I did those 3 videos, Jace, when I was away. It was therapeutic of me. Because I sat in an echo chamber rattling on your own, trying to find excuses to not go to the off license and things like that. It was therapeutic because when I did that gas video, last one, it was people who never even thought about it, understood it, because they ran businesses, they balance accounts. I've used your money, I've spent it on this, there's the receipt, sign it, I'll balance the books. But we don't sign it, so the books don't get balanced, so the interest goes up, austerity comes in. That's so simple. Put that with a few slides, and I thought maybe people will get it. People are getting it.
Although, yeah, you might not want to mention that to Neil Sanders because he might just go into a tangent.
Well, the other thing as well, Uni, which is a good news for you, is that the YouTube are getting rid of the dislike button.
Wait, I thought that was already a thing.
So good news for you and for Neil Sanders.
Oh, man. Yeah, freaking. Actually, does Neil Sanders even have a YouTube channel?
As
well? Say that again, sorry.
Does Neil Sanders even have a YouTube channel?
I think so, yeah.
Because it says a lot when you get these big guys who still haven't been deleted by YouTube and they claim to be truthers. That makes me suspicious right there, honestly.
Listen, don't be suspicious of everybody, right? Some people are just, they just change their mind. It frightens them. So what they have to do is they have to set it straight in their head. Set it straight in their head, and they can do that using all sorts of statistics and reports and things. And you've got these all memorized. Nobody's going to look them up. You might look 1 or 2 up, but you're coming up with so many, that people aren't going to be able to keep up and check everything that you're saying. So obviously, there you go. By default, that's the truth. But lying to yourself, it don't make him. It don't mean that he's on payroll, does it? Or it don't make me suspicious anyway. I like Neil. I think he's all right to talk to. And it's good to disagree with somebody as well. Go on, Webby.
I was just saying it was funny though. We both had the same thought when Austria locked down the unvaccinated. Oh, there's obviously no agenda.
Man, I don't understand how any YouTubers from Australia living in Australia cannot talk about the lockdown and stuff like that, no matter what their YouTube channel is based off of, because it's like it's so big over there. I don't understand how they managed to get around the subject. Know what I mean?
I didn't even hear what you said. I was looking in the chat room. They keep getting my attention. Blame them. It's their fault. It's not your fault. Can you just do a quick recap?
Oh, basically, I don't understand how any YouTubers, no matter what their channel is about, from Australia, that live in Australia, don't at least mention the lockdowns and all that, considering how big it is over there. I mean, isn't Australia like the biggest hotbed when it comes to this kind of thing at the moment?
Australia and New Zealand, I think, and well, Austria as well now. Netherlands as well have put a partial lockdown in, I think.
So did 2 days or a day in jail for protesting at an anti-lockdown thing. He got arrested, Vinny Eastwood.
Oh, that's where Vinny Eastwood's been?
Yeah, Vinny Eastwood. Well, he's been out a while now, but he did. Yeah, he got arrested. He was, he obviously tells it very poetically and very graphically.
Come on, he went to get arrested, for fuck's sake. He had a shirt and tie on.
He always does that. It's his gimmick.
I know, but all right then. All right, okay, fair enough.
The fella's at least trying to get something done, but that lockdown thing, I mean, when Ardern said, the reporter was going, well, yes, it kind of does look like a kind of medical apartheid. And she was nodding, and then she went, well, that's exactly what it is. And then she went into this speech about, well, 90% of New Zealanders are all vaccinated, and there's nobody really protesting, so just get it done. And then it cuts to a clip of a truck driving through a bank of police officers and all these rioters going mad about these lockdowns, about these vaccine passports. And it's like, are you actually looking out of the window, Prime Minister? Do you see what's going on? And it's like, it doesn't matter, Jace. If they close their eyes, nothing's going wrong. They're just pushing it. They're just seeing if they can get this through. They're going to they're going for the end times on this one. They're going right to the hilt. There's no coming back from this. They've gone too far.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. But again, we said that 2 years ago, didn't we? Nearly 18 months ago, we said that it's going to be interesting next year, and it weren't very interesting at all. It were fucking exactly what we knew what was going to happen.
Well, it did, but all what was more interesting was that, whatever your opinions is, the funeral directors, not just the John O'Looney, but the other directors who all came together on pages just in case you got inundated, because that's what they were told. There was going to be a lot of deaths, and it was virtually the quietest year for a couple of years. And then since the 6th of January this year on the vaccine rollout, it's been death after death after death. And I've never seen a list that is being added to virtually on a daily basis of sports people dying in training, just stood there, basketball, football, it doesn't matter. And just sudden deaths. But, well, have they been vaccinated? Well, that doesn't get questioned until you're an unvaccinated person who's tested positive and you're dead. Look at this, could have been prevented, and everybody jumps on it. Yay, all you have to do is have his injection.
Yep.
It's all the same retardation, the same peer pressure.
My gang's bigger than your gang.
Yeah, it's sickening. And it's more sickening that the people who not defend it, but the people who aren't interested, they're the ones who are sickening, because people can be kept too busy and people can be get worried and in fear of just their own lives. I know many family who are stuck doing that, spinning so many plates. They've not got time to think about what Joe Biden's doing, or that he shat his pants in front of the Pope and he's farted in front of Camilla. It doesn't matter to them because they've got too much going on. But the factor is that man's running the biggest army in the world, is he not? He's leading the free country, isn't he, Taylor? Yeah, he's shitting his pants and farting in front of our royalty.
And he's groping his daughter on camera. That actually is of that.
He's what?
There's footage of him groping his daughter on camera in a White House press conference from like 2016 or whatever. He's
You might want to disclaim for that one, Jess.
No, he said
like his hands on her her hands on her breasts, and she's only 13, I think.
I'd just like to say the views of Uni are not necessarily the views of Raconteurs News.
No, they are my own views. They're very much my own views.
So we don't know whether. What did you say? Spunked up and Camilla.
no,
not Kamala.
Apparently, Camilla won't stop talking about it. He farted it, and it was a really long fart. And Camilla went round telling everybody about it.
By the way, speaking of that, Webby, what do you think of the idea that the current Joe Biden isn't really the real Joe Biden? That he's actually dead, and what we have now is just a double, essentially.
Well, there's two ways of looking at that. The old Joe Biden, whether that's physically still that carcass, he's dead anyway, because I've seen Joe Biden in videos from 10 years ago, and that's not the Joe Biden who is doddering and struggling to speak about things and then forgetting where he is.
Yep,
so
see now.
He's either gone into massive cognitive decline, and everybody's going, well, let's just ignore him, because the shadow government can carry on doing what they're doing, and we'll shove Kamala Harris out and let's have a laugh at her for a bit, because, I mean, she's got the worst ratings of a vice president in history, right? Worse than Dick Cheney, who held that record, Taylor. And
Dick Cheney held that record?
Dick Cheney held the record of the worst ratings for a vice president. Now it's Kamala Harris with something like 28%, and Dick Cheney shot his mate in the face.
Wait, literally?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's on video?
No, it's not on video, you fool. But this information should be, if you're this man who wants to know this stuff, you should know this information, because look at your president and your vice president. Are they in control of your country?
Oh, no, definitely not.
Well, then why? You've got to ask the question then, if everybody knows that, why isn't the uproar already? Why isn't the civil war? It's because the states are holding something together, but other states are completely decimated. Minnesota, I mean, they've still no police, have they? They gave up the police station to rioters. This is like your country's gone. It's absolutely gone, and everybody's still watching telly. So that is going to come to England. It's going to come, I usually say 8 to 10 years, but I don't think we've got that long.
No, with this whole COVID agenda, things have been rocketed up. Like Trump said, warp speed.
And yeah, but Trump. See, if you want to look at it from a conspiratorial theory, Trump came in, did what he did. He probably gave you the best times on theory and on paper that you'd ever had, but the media said it was all this and blah, 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 and Russia this, Russia that.
Yeah.
And they got him out by fraud. That's all coming out. Everybody's talking about the fraud on the election, yet still nothing's happening. Everybody's talking about Rand Paul saying that Fauci lied to Congress. It's provable beyond a doubt, but they've not gone after him. He's still there. So
all that the media keeps talking about is just January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, over and over again. I keep hearing that phrase over and over as if it's the new 9/11.
But it's primed. It's primed now because the ratings of these people are so low, and the economy has never been that. $3.40, something like that for gas or whatever it is. It's never been this bad. So it's primed for somebody to come in as a savior. Would that be Trump again? I don't know. But it's primed for a savior. Now, if you look at Germany, when Hitler took over, people were living on the streets, sleeping on the streets. They had nothing. Oh, yeah. They had nothing. Then all of a sudden, within 6 years, they didn't only have a 3-bedroom semi-detached, they had a family car and they were going on package holidays. That came from living on the streets to a man who went, I can fix this. That is what America is primed for, a savior.
And personally
got to be
don't.
careful.
I'm going to be honest. I personally don't think there's going to be any Hitler-type savior because let's be honest here. They've been wanting to make China into the new hotbed, the new head of the world for quite some time. I mean, it's been thrown
Put
into
your
there.
hand up, Jace.
What?
Hey?
I'm telling Jace, put his hand up.
The phrase, I don't think anybody's ever used the phrase a Hitler-type hero before.
Well, he was a hero for Germany. That's the thing. It's like yeah. I know what you mean. My point is that I don't think that we're ever gonna see someone like that. They've been wanting to make China into the new United States for quite some time. I mean, it's been setting up for that for decades. I'm pretty sure that the U.S. is just intended to go. Well, pretty much not just the U.S., but the entire Western world is just intended to go into the ground. They realize we're too rebellious. The people in the East are much easier to manipulate in terms of authority. I mean, just look at China. It's proof that they don't care about the West anymore. It's like Benjamin Netanyahu said. It's like, milk the golden calf for all it's worth, and then when we're done with it, we leave it to dry. That's my thoughts, at least.
Out of the frying pan into the fire with you, Yoni, innit? For fuck's sake. He's a saviour, not hero. Yeah.
Eve's got it right. Eve's got it right. Saviour, he was meant to say.
Yeah, savior. Yeah.
Hitler-type saviour. Oh, okay. All right.
That's what I was going at, Jace. When you've been in complete, it's not austerity, it's abject poverty, and then all of a sudden within 6 years, that's completely turned around. You've got to see how somebody like that would be in that environment. And then you've got the propaganda on top telling the German people, this man who saved them, this regime that saved them, is going, it's because of these people and that people and this. And they propagated that. And then, when they came for him, wasn't like that, so I said nothing, blah, blah, blah. And we have the same scenario playing out. Now, Donald Trump could come in and say, see, look, I've won everything again. But is Donald Trump a saviour? No, he's just a bit more diluted. But they've got so much done. Legislation's been passed that Trump will go, I can overturn that, but I might not do.
The thing about Trump, though, is it's like...
There's so much manipulation. There's so much there. But, mate, I had to mute my mic then because I hadn't realised what he said. I couldn't stop laughing.
Sorry about that. Hey, at least I made you laugh, That's a good thing. We all need to laugh in these troubled times,
Of course we do. Of course we do. I fucking lost what I was going to fucking say again.
What was about Trump, though, is like, the people that praise Trump, though, it's like, yeah, he did do some good things domestically, but the foreign policy remained exactly the same when he bombed the hell out of Syria for literally no reason on account of, Assad chemical weapons on his people with no evidence whatsoever. And of course, the whole giving, our embassy to, in Jerusalem. I can't speak. I cannot speak. I swear. I'm sorry. This is why I'm terrible at trying to convince people to be a truther, because I can't even finish my sentences without.
Well, Donald Trump moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, and he's doted on in Israel. Israel occupy the Golan Heights, which is the contentious bit between Syria and Israel. And, the fact that ISIS is being funded and trained and armed by the West. You're talking about that foreign policy. Well, the Middle East policies will never, ever change. What is going on in the Middle East now, while everybody's talking about what's happened in Afghanistan? Because, I think me and Jace had this conversation, but Afghanistan, with what has been left to the Afghans, they're something like the 16th strongest army in the world or something, maybe even higher.
There's definitely something going on there. There's the whole Afghanistan thing. There's no way that this is exactly as we're being told.
Wait till the Middle East kicks off.
I'm just imagining fucking Boris as some fucking Hitler type bloke who decides, he's on holiday in France and he looks around and he thinks, it's nice here, I'm fucking having this.
Oh,
Boris. Fucking Europe.
Oh boy.
But then I thought, well, it's not going to work, is it really? Because it would invade Europe and that. But after we'd been defeated, which inevitably you're going to be, aren't you? If you're a Hitler type hero.
I think they've got themselves into such a position, Jace, that they're not going to have to invade countries and take over, because the mechanism, particularly the currency mechanism and the laws that the civil law is patented worldwide. So they're in a position where all this land. I mean, people talk about the Queen. She owns so much of the land in this world. She doesn't. She owns nothing. Everything's in trusts, and she is the benefactor of those trusts, along with anybody else who's included. Well, people who are included automatically exclude people from those trusts. So everything that we put into trust would be ours. Nobody could touch it, but we're not taught that. We don't do that. They don't buy and own anything. They get it and put it into a trust. Well, you can't do anything. You can only argue with trustees who aren't liable for anything. So nothing can ever happen. It's such a beautifully placed legal term that we've done that. It's like Barley's. Barley's, can't touch me. Well, that's got to change. Well, it's only ever changed in history by people picking up pitchforks and things like that. And I don't think that, well, I don't see evidence of that. People are still applying for licenses to protest. Well, protest is an acceptance. So as long as people are being given licenses, we're not going to change much, are we?
Going to change fuck all, but we can laugh at them though, can't we? We can laugh at them. I'm you know what? I'm fucking white. I'm male. I'm fucking middle-aged. I'm fucking bald. I ain't even got any hair. And now I'm fucking unvaccinated. All things that are fucking, things that I can't get out for any of them. I'm not in any little groups. So handicapped one, but that doesn't really count, does it?
Oh, well, it does. It does. But I mean, being a heterosexual, you take yourself out of a few categories.
Heterosexual, yeah. See, there's loads of things, and I'm all wrong uns.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I'm even worse, mate. A white male heterosexual Christian. Couldn't be in a worse category. I'm thinking of identifying as a coffee table on Tuesday afternoons, or I'm not sure yet.
Yep, that's the agenda. Get rid of the white man. Get rid of the Christianity. That's why it's been. That's why that they have been like the most attacked type of people, and for quite some time, decades, if not centuries. I mean, that's what multiculturalism is really all about at the end of the day.
Well, I don't know if you know much about that critical race theory that's going on in your country, Taylor. Do you know much about that?
No, I don't tend to look at that kind of thing, because to me it just comes off as all just, oh my God, we need to push the whole blacks are being oppressed, whites are the white Marxists and all that.
It's being taught in your schools by the school boards at state level. It's being enforced to be taught
that blacks are superior to whites and that they're being oppressed and that whites are the evil ones.
It's more or less saying that it's because of whites, and it separates people. So kids are going to school and they're saying, well, you're black, so you need to sit over there, you're brown, and they're demonstrating what's happened with segregation. Instead of just, teaching it as what had happened, they're doing it and teaching it now. Kids are getting the impression that they've got the hard done by. Whereas I remember black people from the 1950s saying that, no, if you want it, you'll get it. You've just got to do it. It might be a bit harder, but don't let them tell you can't do it because of that. No, that's not true. That's how we change things. It's easy to play victim all the time. There's a lot of people get paid well for playing victims.
Yeah, but we're creating more, aren't we? We're creating more day by day.
Yeah, the society's designed to do that. I mean, how long ago is it, Jace? 80s? If you were a psychologist, you were a poor man's psychiatrist because you couldn't prescribe. All of a sudden, when they could prescribe, well, we need mental things now. We need mental disorders that we can prescribe for. If we haven't got a mental disorder, how can we prescribe for it? Well, if we're actually going to start thinking of medicating people and putting stuff in water supplies and foods, and it's going to cause these issues, well, they're going to get depressed because we know what can trigger depression, putting it in here and da. So it's like, well, maybe we've thought about this and we can do it. And look at where we are. I mean, when we're talking in this country, not only openly saying we're going to put fluoride in the water now, because we've had it in the water in certain areas, but it's not the fluoride that's good for your teeth. But people don't associate that. They just go, yeah, put it in. But when we're talking about putting lithium in the water supply, because they've done it in certain states, why have you put lithium in the water supply? Well, the people didn't seem very happy. Well, it's because you've got no money, you've got murders left, right, and centre, and no businesses and no work, and people on drugs and no police. Well, just one of them things. You know, it's like we're already in that gulag, Jace, with that 40% fluoride. It's that psychopathy, that sociopath that's cut all your emotions off. Where you could see like a toddler ran over by a bus and you just step over the toddler and sip your coffee and carry on with your day. That's how much they've got. When people are filming a woman being raped for 20 minutes on a subway in broad daylight in America.
That's your fault, that is, Uni.
Your fault, Uni.
It's your
I mean,
fault.
it's the same thing with the George Floyd thing. It's like, is it really believable that these guys would literally just stand there filming a guy getting crushed and killed and not do anything? It's like it's just such an obvious play. I don't know anyone took this whole George Floyd thing seriously or anything else like that. And it's a bit of a tangent, but it's like, the mainstream media likes to also portray society as just being like, oh, there's like there's murders always going on, look up behind you, someone might kill you in a second. They always want to put you in that little state of fear. So I do agree with you about why people depressed are. There's like a genuinely good reason for it, but I do feel like a lot of that is also false narratives told by the mainstream media, which of course many people still hold their hearts to for some reason, despite the fact that, obvious reasons.
Hold their hearts to, really, Uni.
My parents do.
People are looking at telly and going, "Oh, you have my heart, TV. You have my heart."
That's what my parents do. That's what my
Mainstream
parents do
news.
that every single day, always watching CNN, MSNBC, and thinking everything that's said on is complete fact, and to the point of where they even will just like if they hear the term conspiracy, they just instantly, especially my mother, will just revolt and will just say, this disgusting people that need to be locked up. Like they actually say they need to be locked up in mental institutions if you believe in these conspiracies and stuff.
Would your parents be classed as like in your area like a normal family type married couple then?
Oh, they're not married.
All right. You know what I mean. You know what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. I would say probably yes.
So they're the people that put people on cattle cars. The people who don't know what's going on really, who think, well, this is life. We've just got to get up at 8 o'clock, have a coffee, do breakfast, do this,
Yep.
and then come home after the day. So them are the people that they love. Those are the people that, you're at a point, Taylor. I'm not saying I'm not picking on you and your family, but you're at a point where the parents could turn you in for saying Hitler's a hero.
I never said that in front of them, but they don't know my thoughts. Yeah, I've never said any of that in front of. I've never mentioned Hitler in front of them. They don't know anything about my thoughts. They don't know anything about the things I do because I'm always in my room. They don't ever pay attention to the things I do. It's like we're almost two separate worlds, but living under the same roof, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you know what? If you you're going to be changing the world just by talking to people, mate. But you might not. You might have to leave your bedroom at some point.
Yeah, I know. I think that goes without saying.
Fucking hell. Are you sure, Webby? I mean, what are you thrusting upon the world?
And about the Hitler being a hero thing, I know that made you laugh, but I honestly, I stand true to it. Like after everything that I've seen, like for God's sakes,
Will somebody take that spade off him?
I mean, David Irving, he got thrown in prison just for questioning, just for questioning these things.
He can't help it, can
He just fucking won't shut up, will he?
Yes.
Just will not shut up. But then he wonders why. Oh, can I come on? Oh, well, it's not really suitable for you tonight. Why? Well, because, we've got fucking... we've got Jewish symphony orchestra fucking conductress on.
Okay. I'm sorry about I'm sorry about the Hitler talk. It's just to me, it's just all one big giant picture that you have to put the pieces together, like because whether it's COVID, 9/11, or whatever, they all go into the same picture.
Well, we've got to look at the the factor is 1938, as Stewie's put in the chat room, that Hitler was on the front of Time magazine. He was he turned Germany around. Lloyd George visited him and had said how well he'd done there. He was very well liked until I think he arrested Rothschild and took.
It was. The thing is, you also got to look at stuff like Judea declares war on Germany, 1933, before Hitler had even done anything when he first got elected.
We declared war on Germany. Germany didn't declare
war.
No,
Judea declared war. That's what it says.
Yes, I know what you're saying, but I'm saying we declared war on Germany. They've never declared war. 12 peace treaties, I think, Hitler offered Churchill.
Yeah,
so
Churchill was.
We don't know this history. That's what I'm saying. But me and Jason are laughing. You've got points that should be able to be talked about, but we can't talk about them. And there's a reason why. If you make something illegal to talk about, there's a possibility something is being hidden. So the fact that you can't talk about it should be questioned. But
exactly.
Again, it's how you put it across.
Yeah, maybe I should rephrase it from. I don't. Yeah, you got a good point, and you're absolutely right. If we're not allowed to talk about something, like who are you not allowed to criticize?
Yeah, listen. Right, it's okay. We understand what you're saying. Okay, we understand. I don't know, but the thing is with Hitler, right? I don't know if you're an history buff, but it don't go down right well with most people. And
yeah, I know. Most people will.
What you got to remember is that. Well, if you want to talk about that thing, then what you're going to be doing is you're going to be limiting yourself to that's people that want to listen to that. All the time.
Are we all like that though? Like at the end of the day, we're all in this quote unquote truth movement. We're talking things that most people will say we're crazy for. Will make fun of us for, call us names.
But I'm not talking about that, am I? I'm talking about trying to balance this boat between getting my YouTube channel deleted and not. We all know what we're talking about. We all know that we're look, I've done it myself.
It's how you put it across, Uni.
Webby knows. I've done it myself. I had a fucking rant. Proper rant. A proper fucking bottle of tequila rant. And I'll tell you what, fucking worse than you are. We're talking about nuclear bombs and all sorts.
Or Israel.
Solution.
Or Israel.
I'm not going to say, am I? Because that would be anti-Semitism in it.
Well, I mean, they're different things. Israel and the small hats. They aren't necessarily the same thing.
Oh, fucking hell. Someone's thing with the fucking...
Oh, my God. I see that. Yeah. Oh, my God. People still do this?
We got no fucking mods anymore. I don't even know if anybody's a mod.
Just make me a mod and give me a spanner, Jason, please.
Yeah. I can't do it while I'm on this bit.
What is it?
Sex box.
What's that?
We got some webcam spammer in the chat saying, "Oh, click here to go and see like hot chicks and on this website, etc." Stuff like that.
Oh, I'm not admin. I can't help you out, mate.
I've got him.
The Russians invaded. Yes, lion's share. The Russians have invaded, just like Alex Jones said they would in the year 2000.
Anyway, I've put him in blocked, so I hope it worked. Because they're cunts, them fucking Russians.
Yeah.
Well, hang on. We do have Jewish Russians. Be careful.
Ooh,
Oh,
true.
for fuck's sake. Hey.
If you start it, I'll tell you what. If you start him off on the Bolsheviks.
Oh God, the Bolsheviks. Oh God,
don't even start. It's 2.5 hours. Last time
yeah, I'm not going to start. I'm not going to start on that. That's a whole.
I went fucking downstairs and fucking dog had shat all over the carpet.
Yeah.
So it's time to go. I'm gonna have to go. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go. So last word, Webby.
Yo.
The last word, your last word for tonight, your last words of wisdom that you want people to go to bed thinking, oh, I've got to remember Webby saying them amazing words of wisdom, and they're in my ears now, and they're going to embed themselves in my subconsciousness while I'm sleeping and dreaming of Webby.
Be humble enough to understand that there's a system run by people that haven't got your best interests at heart. You've been told a lot of bollocks from your cradle by the best liars that could ever be, which are your parents, particularly best liars because they believe that they're telling you the truth. And none of what you're being taught is true. And the fact is most people will base the mortgages and the monies and the jobs on how they pay bills and pay mortgages and what they need to do. And nobody understands it. While you've still got chance, maybe watch an omnibus of EastEnders or something and do a little bit of research into it. Because if there's not enough to put a stop to it, this is going right through to the hilt. And I don't think I'll have Wi-Fi on my cattle car, so give us a lift.
Yeah. Una, can you cheer us up? One last little nugget from you from over there in the United States of America.
Well, first of all, to anyone who thinks that Hitler was funded by the wrong I just want to say, because I saw people in the chat saying that it's not true. I'll just say that. But on a more positive note, it has nothing to do with that. I got this. I got this right here.
It's all right, Jace. You can look. It's not Hitler. I used to like coming on Raconteurs news.
Fuck me. Oh God, what are you doing now?
I got this off of Amazon, and
oh God, we can see him.
Yes, and I got this.
13-piece jigsaw.
Yeah, 13 pieces of jigsaw. Good book. Been reading it.
That's what you could do with a book.
Yeah, I always believe you should have your stuff physically because otherwise, it's just like James Corbett says about the Library of Alexandria. It can be burned down and changed at any second. Always best to have things physically rather than on an online setting, which can be manipulated easily.
That's what's interesting about all this recent history from Europe. When we're looking at these colossal buildings with people with awesome cars holding a hammer, and you're thinking, how have you built that in such a short time? Has our history been changed, possibly? Well, you've got to be humble enough to think, yeah, do you know what? I might not have discovered everything in 40, 50 years of being here. And maybe some people have told me a few lies.
Exactly. Or a lot of lies.
Anyway, listen, I'm going to wrap it up. This has been Raconteurs News, yes, in association with the fucking National Front.
Nazi party.
Fucking PMP and fucking God knows why I'm fucking dead. Fucking Westboro Church fucking parishioner, the only black sister, who's going to be. You could just see me one of them God hates fags signs, can't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't do that because that's like protesting, and that's just dumb.
You wouldn't do that because of that reason. That's the reason you wouldn't do that.
I mean, it's protesting, basically. It's just
so it's because it's protesting. That's the reason why you wouldn't stand with a sign with "God hates fags" written on it.
Oh no! For that, I'm just because I'm too lazy. I'm too fat and lazy for that. That would require me to leave my room.
All right. Okay, hellfire. Right, I've got to go. I'll just make sure Dog's all right. Take care, everybody. I might be here Friday. I might not. I'll have a look. I'll see how I feel. 9:30ish, if I'm on. And just everyone come along. Just come on. It's just fucking. It's been good in chat. I've enjoyed reading some of the. I think it's been a seminal chat, shall we say, this evening. I don't know what that word means, but I keep hearing it about records and seeing it. So anyway, we're off. So take care, everybody. I'll see you Friday if I'm on. I'll probably be on. I'll see. Depends what sort of week Mrs. has had. So take it easy. Bye.